Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. I'm Michael McCall,
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhower.
and happy Easter, everybody. We've got an excellent show for you this Easter weekend. This episode should drop on Easter Monday, or as long-time listeners to the show will know, as I call it, Cheap Chocolate Day. I'm not sure I'll be getting up super early to get chocolate on Monday, but this is a late record for us, doing this on Easter Sunday. And it's very fitting, Zach, that it is Easter weekend, because what we're going to talk about in the first two parts is an Easter miracle. When the Whitecaps came back from the dead to stun the Portland Timbers, maybe cost Phil Neville his job. We'll see how things play out this weekend. So we've got that to talk about. The CPL season and the BCPL, formerly League One season, got underway this weekend as well. So we'll talk about that in part 3. And we'll finally get round a chance to talk about the international games, Canada's 2 matches, the crazy UEFA playoffs, the Inter-Confederation playoffs. And it's just been such a crazy time for football, Zach. I know you've been out a ton of games. You're even out at your daughter's games as well. I've been out at games commentating on Sunday on 2 BCPL games. Feast of football, we say a lot on the show. This most definitely has been this weekend.
Exciting times.
Exciting, busy. I came home from commentary on Sunday, had dinner, then felt a little tired, hadn't had a lot of sleep over the last 2 nights. So I thought I'll just have a quick nap, then woke up nearly 2 hours later. We will start, as we've been starting most of our shows this year, by continuing our Canadian Soccer A to Z, and we're up to the letter O.
Oh, yeah.
So, Zach, you get to go first with the letter O this week. I know you've got a main one, and we've probably both got a couple of honourable mentions as well. So who is your O to go?
My O is going to be someone with the last name starting O, which is Holger Osiak.
Yeah.
For those who that name doesn't ring a bell, that's maybe understandable because it's been a while since he's been involved in Canadian football. But Holger is most known for being the one to win the Gold Cup for Canada in the year 2000. He was the men's national team coach from 1998 to 2000. I also saw on his Wikipedia page that he was assistant coach for Canada in the late 70s. Did you know that?
He played for the Whitecaps in the NASL.
Yeah, no, I knew that, but I didn't know he was an assistant coach for Canada in 78, 79. It's kind of crazy. Like right after he ended his playing career.
Yeah.
I also know him, though, as being the assistant coach to Der Kaiser, Franz Beckenbauer, in the effort to win the World Cup in 1990.
How did that go?
Yeah, it went very well. Very, 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 very well. But he's coached all over the place. VfL Bochum in Germany, Fenerbahce, Urawa Red Diamonds a couple times. And then his last managerial post was with the Australian national team from 2010 to 2013. But it's interesting when you look at the history of the both really the men's and the women's, the national team coaches we've had in Canada and the way that they've each kind of played a role in revolutionizing might be a strong word, but like kind of helping move kind of football culture in Canada forward. Like I think when you listen to players from the different squads over the years, again on both the men's and the women's side, you hear these stories of how coaches change things, how coaches brought new approaches and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, when you listen to former players talk from Hoger's day, yeah, he was definitely different than John Herdman or Jesse Marsh or these type of coaches. He more, I think, what you and I would call an old school kind of coach, where
Yeah.
kind of like he laid down the law and it was his way or the highway, which was understandable for the time. When you talk
But
to some
was also
players,
successful.
totally, absolutely. When you talk to some players too, I remember in that time hearing people talk about how he was kind of difficult, from a player's perspective to deal with and all that kind of stuff or to adjust to and whatever. But again, bottom line is, yeah, he will forever be a part of Canadian footballing history for that being the one who led them to that Gold Cup. And I think when you listen to the stories of that tournament and that era, it's hard to deny that he didn't play a significant role in all that. The other thing, which is interesting for me about him, I don't think I ever got the opportunity to meet him, but a number of times I've got to meet his son, who was the head of BC Soccer for a number of years. You remember, it's Bjorn, right? Do you remember Bjorn? He was the head of BC Soccer for a number of years. Got to meet him a few times. But yeah, he's my main guy. Before I share my honorable mentions, let's hear who's your O.
Well, my O, not a person. I've gone for a team with, I kind of will give an honourable mention to the city overall, but my O is for Ottawa, but primarily Ottawa Fury, just
Nice.
because of the important role that they've had in the development of the game here. So again, some folk maybe won't be overly familiar with some of what Ottawa Fury did, but they started off in the USL PDL, and they were a team in that from 2005 to 2013, then making the jump to the pro ranks, and they played from 2014 to 2019 in the NASL and then the USL before the CPL came in. And Ottawa Fury, the owners of that, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think they thought they would be the team that would maybe then make the jump to the CPL, but things didn't really go according to plan, or was it that they wanted to stay in the USL and didn't want to make the jump? Because I know there was something around sanctioning with that.
There are some sticky stories around all that, right? There's some complicated perspectives around all that, but essentially, I think they would have liked to have, but I think some of the people involved with the organization would only kind of agree if it happened in certain ways, and some of those ways, how shall I put this, not in line with how the CPL was going to operate. I mean, it was a bit of a microcosm of what we always talk about, of, some of the struggles of Canadian football in terms of everyone wanting their piece of the pie and wanting it their way. And I
Yeah.
mean, ultimately, you can't have. I mean, you need to have people put down some of their rightful claims in order for the betterment of the country as a whole. And that was definitely, I think, something we saw with Ottawa,
They would also
at
have been
least from my
working on
perspective.
different
Others might
budgets.
disagree, but
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a bigger budget in the USL. And we should say, like, Canada Soccer did sanction them to play in the USL in 2020. The problem was CONCACAF and the United States Soccer Federation didn't sanction them. So they felt they really had nowhere else to go. So then they sold their USL rights to Miami FC.
right. Oh yeah.
Ottawa Fury as well were the only professional women's club in Canada
Hmm.
from 2000 to 2014. They were in existence for. So after the Whitecaps hung up their boots in about 2012, for the next couple of years, Ottawa then were the only professional women's team in the country. And they were playing in the USLW League before they also kind of stopped existing in 2014. But as a rich history in Canadian soccer, I think Ottawa Fury definitely deserved to be in there for everything they did in the men and the women's game. And I'll give a notable mention to Atletico Ottawa, obviously coming in to the CPL in the end as Ottawa's team, current CPL champions as well. So they're definitely worth an honourable mention from me.
Yeah.
What about your honourable mentions?
I'm gonna go with The Olympic Stadium in Montreal. I know it's called Stade Olympique in French, but
I've had a tour of it. Never seen a game there,
oh,
but I had a tour when I was in Montreal one summer.
I know it's not a. I mean, I don't know all the history of it, and I've only actually seen one game there, but it was a memorable game. It's hosted such. I mean, it's hosted a number of CONCACAF then Champions League games, now CONCACAF Champions Cup games for the club that was then l'Impact de Montreal, now CF Montreal. And yeah, so Santos Laguna, I know, played there. I think it was quarterfinals one year, but the 2015 it was the final against Club America, the second leg. So they got the second leg at home, and that was the Drogba era, if my memory's not wrong. And like Montreal acquitted themselves well. Obviously didn't win, but yeah, it's hosted some big games. The game I went to, Michael, it was a part of hosting the under 20 World Cup in 2007. And I only got to go to one game there, but it was knockout. I don't know if it was quarterfinal or round of 16, but it was Chile versus Nigeria. And I had just a wonderful experience. It was a crazy day. I drove, I think that day, I think it was one of my crazy trips. I think I did this all in a day. I drove to Montreal, got there, got a ticket, went to the game, and I went with the Nigerian fans. And so I was in I think like the upper deck. And I was with the Nigerian fans, and I think I'd seen Nigeria play somewhere else, but I hadn't been with their fans. No, maybe that was the only time I saw them play. Anyways, I went where I was right in with them. It was great. And they do this whole thing where they're like bouncing like the whole game. And like, I can't remember what the odd, I don't know, it was like anyways, it was memorable. It was very enjoyable. It was like,
Orgasmic. A big O in the big O.
Oh my goodness. No, but it was like one of those, it was an opportunity to experience a football culture I'd never experienced before, even just for 90 minutes. Well, actually, it wasn't 90 minutes. It was 120 minutes. And the crazy thing is, my memory's not wrong. The game went to time added on, but do you know the final score? Do you want to guess the final score?
5-4.
There was a 4. It was 4-0 to Chile. There was, I think, one or two sendings off. And there was 46,252 people at the match. And guess who the referee was? Howard Webb.
Oh, wow. Any
Yeah.
other honorable mention?
Also, was it 400 games with TFC was celebrated this weekend? There was a nice little display from the supporters. A big part of Canadian football. A huge servant, obviously, at Toronto FC.
So that is it for our O's for this week. If there's anyone you feel we've missed out or anything you think we've missed out, get in touch in the usual places. AFTN Canada, Twitter, AFTN on Blue Sky, or aftncanada@hotmail.com. And we'll be back next week with a letter P. A to Z over. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show now, with all the feast of football in action in the past weekend and past week. For the first two parts, we're going to talk Whitecaps, MLS, their stunning victory over Portland Timbers at BC Place on Saturday night. It was a busy day for us on Saturday. We were out in Langley at the Vancouver FC Halifax Wanderers game. And I left after Vanni did his post-game, and then you stayed to get all the post-game stuff from Martin Nash. We'll talk about that in part 3, but it was a mad dash to the stadium. I got into the press box just as the national anthems were playing, so great timing in the end. And the game started well. Whitecaps went up early. Portland from nowhere got back into it, went into the half with the lead, and as the minutes ticked down, it felt that, at best, the Whitecaps might scrape a draw. Things were just not working out for them. They get the equaliser into stoppage time, and we both said to each other, I fancy they're going to go on and win this. And win it they did. A 3-2 victory in the end. A lot to break down from the match, but just overall thoughts on the game to kick things off, Zach?
Kind of like it was kind of talking to Sebastian Berhalter about in the post game. It was I think really the best example this season of the magic of last season, where there was a game, and even though the feelings maybe weren't so strong, obviously by the end they were massive. but where you just felt like, yeah, the Whitecaps are going to get something from this. Like, I know that maybe things haven't been clicking, and the goals he gave up were, well, one was a wonder strike, and the other one was maybe a little
Again.
bit, yeah, a little bit again, exactly, a little bit unfortunate. But you just had this feeling like, no, they still got this. Like they're not out of this. They can do it. And it was weird because it was it was very similar to the football match I watched in the morning where it was a 2-1 comeback for the Whitecaps, but in the morning, Bayern Munich down 2-0, last 10 minutes of the game, and of course they win 3-2 on like the last kick the last kick of the game. Yeah. It was a part of like almost like the culture last year that
Yes.
Jesper had created of like we have extreme resilience, we're never going to give up. And I think that was added to by the arrival of Thomas Muller, because that's kind of just who he is anyways, and what it's like to play for Germany and Bayern, right? Like that's just kind of how they roll
Well,
for the
teams that
most
are used
part.
to winning, it's a winning mentality.
Exactly.
And that's what Jesper instilled in this team. And I like watching the game play out, it did kind of cross my mind last year's games against Portland, where the Whitecaps went down to Portland and dismantled them. And then Portland led in the return match here with Kamal Miller's wonder strike.
Yep.
And then the Whitecaps salvaged a draw late on through Brian White. And I was like, maybe we'll get a draw. Because the chances were coming. But I thought Portland defended superbly in the second half. But I think Portland's problem was they were on the back foot so much, they didn't show any attacking chops at all in that second half. And when you're just defending, you've got more of a chance to buckle because it starts to take its toll. And the problem was then when the Whitecaps did tie things up, it only felt if any team was going to go on and win it at that point, it was going to be the Whitecaps.
Yep.
And it was an interesting starting lineup, I thought, from Jesper for this one. Now, Ralph Priso, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in part 4 when we talk about Canada, but he is out indefinitely right now after doing his hamstring in Canada's second game against Tunisia on Tuesday. He's had an MRI. We've not had the results of that yet, so we don't know exactly what is happening with that.
It's scary how they label that out indefinitely just because they don't know what's going on. Yeah, that was not fun.
It makes you think the worst.
Yes.
But I mean, if you think the worst and it turns out to be better, I guess there's that.
True.
Going away from the Ryan Gulls 2 weeks away from last year. So
Oh,
I guess they don't want to take that chance again.
I saw him and his wife and their child. Did you see them in the?
Oh, no.
Yeah, they were. I saw lots of people yesterday, man. There's one I haven't even talked to you about. You walked past him at the end of the away post game.
Well, I saw you said hi to somebody, and Har's like, "Who's that?" I was like, "I don't know."
I'll tell you later who that was.
Okay.
I think we should. It's a guy I think we should have on the show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked past the referee yesterday on the way to the Timbers post game. Told him good game.
Yeah, of course. I that's been like almost every game I've had that experience.
But I thought the ref had a wonderful game. Portland fans and Phil Neville may disagree. But yeah, like Ralph's injury, we don't know how serious it is. It's obviously a big blow to the Whitecaps. But for Ralph, it's heartbreaking. He's done so well to get himself in the national team mix. The way that those two games played out defensively for Canada, you feel he's got a really good chance of making the World Cup squad because of how poor some of the other players played in those games.
Absolutely.
And how well he's been playing at club level. And then he gets his chance, he gets his first start. Right away, he said he felt something. And as soon as you put your hand up, you think, oh, and I was hoping maybe just cold, maybe it was just a little strain. He was going to be out for a couple of weeks. So the fact it's an MRI now is certainly a lot more concerning. And Sarita mentioned in the pre-game show that I got a chance to listen to on my drive down to the stadium that she saw him at the NFDC and he was like limping and seemed in a little bit of pain.
We listened to that on our drive-in too.
You just have to feel for Ralph. It's like
Totally.
heartbreaking for him.
Yeah. And it was funny when we listened to her, it was a reminder of our conversation with her earlier this year where in general, he's a dude who doesn't get too high and he doesn't get too low. He stays kind of right in the middle where you need to be, where it's easier to focus. on kind of, the job at hand, and
Yeah.
hopefully, even in the midst of what he's going through now, he can kind of maintain that, focus on the recovery, focus on getting better, so that he
Yeah.
can return to the Whitecaps healthy and in as good a time frame as possible, and then see what happens in terms of his hopes for the summer.
That is the time frame is key, because like right now he's still got time to come back from this and make the World Cup squad. So there's plenty of time for him to do that. Even if he say misses all of April, you could feel he'd come back in May, the levels he's been playing at. The problem he might have though is Ranko Veselinovic is then good to come back probably by the end of April as well. So does Ralph get his place back in the team right away as well? But I think he's shown Jesse Marsch enough to show that if he is healthy, he can be in that squad. The interesting thing, though, that Jesse noted when he was asked about him between the two games, he mentioned that he was going to be starting on the Tuesday, but he did say that Ralph is a guy that plays better than he trains. And he had a word with him about it, and he said, I need to see more from you at training. But some players are like that. It's like they don't get up for it maybe enough at training, but put them on the pitch in a competitive game and the switch flicks. But it was interesting to hear Jesse go public with that. I mean, I've seen Ralph at training for a couple of years now, and I've never thought that from watching him.
You hope that that's received as a constructive criticism. But yeah, I mean, and Jesse is also the kind of person who feels like for every player, no matter how good they are, no matter who they are, there are ways that they can improve.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully this is maybe one of the smaller ways that he sees that Ralph could improve.
But it's a big thing, because for those centre-back spots,
yes,
there's a lot of competition.
And you need to show well in training, yeah.
You've got to show well all round.
The Ranko thing, it'll be interesting to see how he'll be able to come back, but you imagine it's going to be gradual, but
Yes.
still. They could be almost come back at the same time, even.
Yeah, that would be the thing. But we know, like, the partnership and the relationship that Ranko and Tristan Blackman had was so
pillar,
good.
yeah.
It's hard to then dislodge that as well as Ralph has been playing.
But then maybe does he get more minutes in the center mid? Does this help, even though there is no more CCC this year? Does it help Jesper rotate better? Does it help make the team better on the whole? Like, just makes them so much more deep, right? And
also Kubas, it was a 4-week timeline. We don't know if it is still that. And Kubas was signing autographs before the game, and he had his little boy with him. It was really cute seeing the photos of that. But yeah, that was a blow. But it was a good defensive back four, because you had Tate Johnson at left back, and I thought Tate again
great game,
had another superb game out there. Matty Laborda, as much as I've said I prefer him as a fullback than the centre, he was good. A couple of misplayed passes, but on the whole, excellent getting forward. And Eddie Ocampo had one of his best games of the season, and it was Eddie that got the first goal in this one, 7 minutes in, or six minutes, I think, just ticking into the 7th minute. Yohei Takaoka with the assist, route one, beautiful again. We saw it earlier when it was Sabi that got the goal last year.
LAFC, yeah.
And this was similar, but Ocampo still had a lot of work to do in this. So Yohei plays the long ball forward. Ocampo brings it down, cuts inside the defender. Why James Pantemis came flying out of his goal the way he did, I don't know. But the speed he was coming out, it just needed a slight touch from Edier to take it past him. And Pantemis was like nowhere.
Well, Pantemis was already playing high, so he was caught in no man's land, and he also sort of slips or whatever on the play. And it's like, yeah, as much as he's someone who's still obviously being monitored by Jesse Marsch in terms of that potential third spot for Canada, I think he made some other really good saves in the match. But yeah, this was definitely his low moment on the night.
Yeah, and we've seen this in a few of the games where he's played against Vancouver, that he has a moment like this, not to that big extent. But even once Ocampo got past the two of them, he had another defender in front of them, and he had White open that he could have easily rolled it to it, but he had the confidence to go for the bottom corner, found it perfectly. It's 1-0 at that point, and you're thinking, oh, here we go again. There were positives, I think, to take from this game for Portland. the way that they fought back to take the lead,
For
clearly one
real.
of them. The way they
Yeah.
defended in the second half as well. But I think mentally, this was a big character-defining moment for the team because they know how they've played against the Whitecaps in the last couple of years. They've gone down early. The Whitecaps were bossing the play, dominating possession, had another couple of chances as well. That Pentemis came up with a save from Laborda. Sabali had a chance that was saved by Pentemis as well. So it was one-way traffic at this point. They easily could have buckled. I think if a second goal had gone in, there is a good chance that they would have, but it didn't, and I think it did show a little bit of mental strength for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I agree with you that even though when we get to the end of the game, we'll talk about how the kind of it's depressing is maybe the word this that this result is for Portland, but there were a lot of there were a lot of upsides. The save from Pantemis on Sabali was huge. It was like a classic Thomas Muller, just header just down to the wide open man in the box, and a wonderful save. But yeah, you're right. The way they didn't buckle like they have in other games against the Whitecaps was, I think, really a positive sign for a club that is really struggling this year.
Yeah, and it's the kind of things I've watched a lot of Phil Neville's press conferences this season, and he's called the team out. He's wanting to see more of that, and he did see it, and they withheld all the pressure, and then got themselves back on level terms in the 36th minute. It stemmed from Sebastian Berholt. The ball comes to him in the box. He doesn't get a proper connection on the clearance. It falls to Mosquera at the edge of the box, and he lashes home an absolute beauty into the top left-hand corner. For me, Takaoka had no chance on that. He feels he should have done better on it when he was speaking in the post-game, and it's like, Taka, give yourself a little break here. I don't think you could have done much with that. But at that stage, it was the third goal that the Whitecaps had given up in MLS play this year. All three of them absolute bangers from outside the box.
Yeah, and that's something I think the Whitecaps need to be aware of. And even though Takaoka said post game that second phases of a corner, it's hard for to have that always all covered in that sense in terms of not allowing a shot from distance there. But it was an absolutely incredible strike. So you arrived just in time for kickoff. I arrived just before this goal. I was just in the press box. I had just gotten there. I saw the corner was taking place, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to watch this before it gets settled. And so I was like right on that far side of the practice box where you come in and you have you're almost like the behind the net, the closest to behind that view as you can up there. It was a really good view of that, for that shot. But it was a stunning strike. But spoiler alert, it was the second best strike in BC that day.
Yes. Yeah, we'll come at that in part three. I mean, when I got home and I watched a lot of the game back, this was the kind of game that as soon as I got home, I wanted to see how it played out in the MLS 360 studio.
Yeah.
So I was fast forwarding through all the bits to see what they were saying about all the different things, particularly the comeback at the end. But you see that strike, and it was up there for the goal of the week. And the crazy thing is, up to that point, all three goals that they had conceded in the league could have won goal of the week because they were all that good.
Yeah.
Going back to letting the shots come in from the edge of the box, here's something that I don't know if you're aware of. The three goals, well, four now altogether, but the three long-range goals that they've let in, so against Portland down there, San Jose here, and Portland here, all come in games where Andres Cubas wasn't on the pitch at the time, either through injury or having been subbed off in the first game down in Portland.
Makes sense.
And you think, would he have been in that position to get to it or get a tackle in? And maybe that is something they need to work on, because the second goal as well, it came from a poor clearance. So the first one was Berhalter that didn't get the full connection. The second one, 2 minutes into first half stoppage time, this time it's Laborda who gets a foot on it, doesn't clear it very well, comes to Mosquera again. He threads it through to Da Costa, and Da Costa finishes from a really nice tight angle as well. And it was a really well-worked goal for Portland. 2-1 up going into the break, and it's like just stunned the Whitecaps at that point.
That kind of little like dink, little chip is like one of my favorite kinds of finishes.
Yeah.
It was quality. Can we pause here to talk about something? I don't know if you want to talk about this later. But one of the things read a bunch about, and just obviously the vibe in the stadium at the moment. I know some people felt really hard done by the Portland celebrations on both goals, really, but especially
I was actually going to bring that up.
'Cause-
So the second goal saw Portland celebrate in front of the Whitecaps fans. I felt it was a booking.
Oh, because it was excessive?
It was excessive celebration. I thought both of those should have been yellow cards for excessive celebrations.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because like, if that was a game in Scotland, and I'm not condoning this, something would have been thrown at them, whether it was water or cans or worse, but something would have been thrown at them in both occasions because
they know
they are taunting the fans.
Yeah, they know in this culture that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, Phil, I mean, should know that because his brother, I think, got booked a number of times, not even after his own goals, with other people scoring, where he was celebrating in front of Arsenal fans one time. But
no, I thought it was out of order. But who had the last laugh? Because they're not dancing anymore.
No, exactly. But that's the thing, though. We've talked about it different ways over the years. I want more celebration. I want more like goals are so important in football, and
VAR's killed a bit of it.
Yeah, and to some degree, they're rare in football, and especially both these goals were both quality goal. Like even Campos' goal, quality goal. Like all the quality goal. Even Berhalter's is maybe it's the quality isn't as, I mean, the strike is wonderful, but it's not as nice as the Portland strike from outside the box. But anyways, all good goals. But I'd love a bigger celebration. I want more. I want bigger. Now you could say, yeah, I understand the taunting, especially on the second one, but I wouldn't want to decrease that from the game, Michael, honestly. I want more of that. But
I think it's fine to do it a bit, but it went on a bit too long.
For you is the duration.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Like an initial celebration and kind of like winding the fans up, I have nothing wrong with that. But it went on for way too long, and because of the length of it, I thought both should have been yellow cards.
Yeah, okay.
And I would have thought the same if it had been the opposite.
And they were both right in front of the second one definitely was right. It was right there. You had a good view of it.
It was right in front of me, and Har's donut nearly went flying down. Not going to say from who. The first goal had given Portland a lift. There hadn't been too much in it. Yohe had to save a Kelsey header after it. I mean, the Whitecaps had a chance as well before the second. Mueller played in Sabally, and again, his shot this time was deflected wide. We'll talk a bit about Sabally at the end, but Whitecaps went in 2 down, and 2 nice worked goals, both coming though from clearances that if they'd had a full connection, it wouldn't have happened. So I felt things had to change in the second half. Sabi came on for AZ, and I don't know if it was for an injury or if it was planned or what. Sabi had a fall at training during the week, so hadn't fully trained on Thursday either, from what I was led to believe. So maybe they were just saving his minutes, and he's still coming into trying to find his form, and I don't think he had a good half all round.
He created tons. He wasn't finishing the way he wanted, but I thought it was a good sub from Jesper. In
theory, it just didn't work out because these things were not coming off for him at all. The balls were either just going behind him, or it was one where he was played in with a lovely ball from Jeevan, and he was off balance and couldn't really get onto it. And that was really kind of the way the Whitecaps' luck was going. Brian White was just having no service. And I thought Portland, from a defensive side, marked him out of the game. They handled him superbly.
Which Caitlin Kyle will not be happy about.
No, because she was wanting the points on the MLS 360 show. An interesting thing, and Landfish 70 brought this up on Blue Sky. Thomas Mueller, again, thought he was very ineffective in this game, just was not really doing too much. But he started to do more when he drifted out wide. He wasn't getting any space in the middle, but he kind of started to come out wide, and he was getting a little bit more space there. And maybe that is something that the Whitecaps might look to do with him more, especially when Ryan Gould's back.
Yeah, I could see that. I know he wasn't as effective as he would have wanted to be, but I still think like he created chances,
Created
and
some
both
chances, was
both
vocal on the pitch. He was speaking to a lot of
yeah,
players,
he
and
created chances directly and was a part of build up play on some other good chances, and then he does one of the things he's supposed to do in the team, and at the end of
yeah, the way that the game was going, I had thought I'd maybe take him off and move Jeevan up to the number 10 role, bring Ollie Larraz on in the 6 role, just to see if we could get anything else coming, because it just wasn't coming for Thomas on the day. So before we get to the penalty that was given, let's rewind back to the 58th minute and the no penalty call on Tate
oh
Johnson. Now, when it happened in the stadium, I didn't fully see it, the replay, because they put up Denzel Curry on the screen.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we
yeah.
were all trying to work out who the hell is
I
Denzel Curry.
Yeah, but I saw it. I thought, oh, they're gonna when they stop, like, oh, they're gonna give a penalty for this.
Yeah, so I watched it when I got back. I don't know how that's not a penalty. It's
Yeah,
a push on his back. It's a
yeah, it's
clear
two
push.
hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
And
that the push isn't like a huge, crazy, forceful push, but it's two hands in the back, like,
I
and there's
watched
and there's two hands in the back and extension.
the TSN commentary, and Stephen Caldwell, a defender, was like, "Oh, you're never giving a penalty for that. You can't give a penalty for that." It's like,
Shocking.
how not? He also didn't think the second one was a penalty. Didn't think it was handball, but we'll come to that in a sec.
Is
But
he
I mean,
friends with Phil?
yeah, I just thought it was a push on Johnson, and I was very surprised. I think it was one of those, if it was given on the pitch, it wouldn't have been overturned by VAR, but because it wasn't given on the pitch, they maybe just didn't see enough for
Clear and
VAR
obvious.
to call him over.
Yeah.
But I thought Portland dodged one there. And if the Whitecaps had got the penalty then and tied it up, I think the game would have been over in a more dramatic fashion than it ended up being. But the minutes are ticking down. 89th minute, Whitecaps are throwing everything to try and get the equaliser. The ball comes out, cleared to Ocampo from about 20 yards out, lashes the ball, and it's going to go wide if no one had got in the way. He just didn't get it on target at all. Anthony jumps up, and one hand's up, the other's raised as well. I think it maybe even hit both of his hands, but he goes down holding his stomach as if it's hit him in the stomach, forgetting that there's actual cameras everywhere. Right away, though, referee Joe Dickerson pointed to the spot. He had the clearest view of it, and video review didn't have anything wrong with it. Phil Neville, after the game, said in no way, shape, or form to him that was a penalty. I don't know how he thinks that is not a penalty.
I can see why he's saying that, but yeah, I'm fully behind the call made. I don't think he's saying it just to save his job.
No, I think he truly believes
I think
it's
he's saying, like, look, the way the ball's coming to the guy's face, it's a natural movement or whatever, something like that, and his hands are not that far away from his body. That's what he's saying, I think, and I can understand that. It's very understandable why it was given.
It was interesting that him, a kind of an old school player,
And
and
Caldwell,
Caldwell, an old school player, both thought that isn't handball.
yeah,
And if I'm wrong about Stephen Caldwell in this, because I've watched a lot of football this weekend, I'm pretty sure it was this game and it was him that said this. But him or some commentator this weekend for a handball in the box said the words, "You can't be calling handball and giving penalties for every time someone handles the ball in the box." It's like, yes, you can. That is the definition of a handball when a penalty. The way I look at these, though, is if it was the opponents that had it against my team,
yeah.
would I have thought it was a penalty? And yes, I would have thought if Tate Johnson had pushed someone like that, that would be a penalty. If Matty Laborda or Tristan Blackman had jumped up and handed the ball like that in the box, yep, to me it would have been a Portland penalty. So that's how I always look at things. Sometimes I can see both sides, and it's like I could see why it would be given, I could see why it wouldn't be given. To me, no doubt in this at all. And it's a clear handball in the box. Thomas Mueller steps up, pretty much goes down the middle, If Pantemis had just stayed, he would maybe have got it. But the force, he did try and stick a paw up to get to it, but the force from Mueller's penalty, never in doubt, really. 91st minute, tied up at 2.
When the penalty was awarded, I said to you, I said, Thomas hasn't missed yet for the Whitecaps, right? And you're like, nope. And
100%
I was
record
just
from
like,
the spot.
yeah, I was just like, oh, I hope this is not the time.
Oh, I mean, with the kind of game that he'd had as well, it would have been a nightmare, I think, if he'd missed. As soon as that went in, and I said this at the start of this bit, we both said to each other, yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to go on and win this now.
Yeah.
And in the end, they could have won it 4-2. They're pushing, and the winning goal.
Okay, the winning goal though, you gotta
Have to rewind.
yeah.
I missed this live. And when I watched it back, I was like, wow. Sebastian Berhalter's tackle on Mora. It's a quick break. I think it's 3-on-3. Portland coming forward in numbers. And Sebastian Berhalter was behind the play. Just puts the Jets on. A tremendous crunching and fair challenge on Mora to win the ball, setting up the Whitecaps break. And then he gets back up the field and the ball comes to him and he rifles it home.
It's a tremendous, tremendous defensive play by Berhalter. And maybe it's just because I spend all the post games in the away locker room. But like, if you're Portland and you're breaking this down, you've just conceded. Like, I know they're like, oh, let's try and go snatch the winner. But if you're Neville, you're not like, take the ball to the corner. Let's get this point here. No?
No, it's like you still have to go for the win. Like, a draw doesn't help them at this point in the standings where they are. They need the confidence win. And they're going to feel it's not a point gained. It's like 2 points dropped if they end up with a draw.
Because there's
you
literally
have
one
to be
minute,
going for
1
it.
minute left in stoppage time when they get possession and when they make that run. And then, yeah, it's a sloppy touch from, is it Mora, I think? And,
Yeah, but it's 3-on-3. It's like you have to be going for that.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, if it was my team and they took it to the corner, I'd be fuming.
An away point when you've been
Yeah.
so bad in the year, though?
Yeah. Having given up the lead late on. It's the psychological thing. If you then get the lead back, it does so much for you. I would be amazed if anything is not our tackle of the year come December when we do our awards than this one.
Have you written it down? Have we written it down?
I am starting to write things down. Saves
Yeah.
and tackles now. I mean, Berhalter had another good tackle in the Portland game, which I kind of had down as the early leader for tackle of the year. He is so good at that. And this is the thing. Again, after the US games this past week, I saw so much comment on American soccer media of Berhalter should be nowhere near this American squad. And it's like, are you not watching how he's playing at club level? But these are guys that piss in the MLS anyway and look down on it.
Yeah.
And they don't want anyone from MLS in the national team, which is like, don't even start me in that. But it was a great move, great tackle to set it up, great move all round, great shot. Pantemis, I feel, should have been stronger on it though.
In the moment, I didn't think much of.
No,
he
but
did his
watching it
best.
back, I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
when you watch it back, you're like,
you've
oh."
got to have a better hand on that."
So earlier when I said, that'll be his low moment or the first goal, maybe.
Oh, the one in the first goal was definitely worse.
I mean, it's a worse error, but
Yeah.
I think he'll be thinking about getting his hand to that ball from Berhalter.
I just loved the finish, and the stadium erupted.
Oh,
It was the biggest crowd of the season, over 25,000. It's those kind of games that send folk home going, "Oh, I can't wait to the next game. When is it? Oh, next week. Yeah, let's go."
yeah. It was the eruption was huge.
It felt, and like you mentioned this at the start about the never give up and they can come back. It felt like a defining moment in the season, even this early.
So far, for sure.
Because when, in the 89th minute of the game, I put this in my report, they had dropped down to 5th in the West. By the end of the game, 6 minutes later, they're up to 2nd in the West and 2nd in the Supporters' Shield. That's how much these
Tight it
points
is,
mattered.
yeah.
And I know it's so early and you can't really look at league standings this early on, but we know about this homestand and they've got to make the most of it and they've got to make BC Place the fortress. And they lost against San Jose.
Yeah.
in a game that they feel they should have got something
And they know
from
you
at least.
expect 9 wins and a draw.
Yeah. So, I mean, they stopped my prediction there. So that was highly disappointing. So it's 3-2, and you think, whoa, what? That's the end of the drama. Almost straight from kickoff. It's nearly 4-2. Bruno Caicedo, and we'll touch on him now. I think signing off this season, Bruno Caicedo could be calling it now this early. He just danced his way through a Portland defence that, when you look at Tom's photos, capture it beautifully. The second goal hit them hard. That third goal, they were on their knees. They were just absolutely gutted. Finn Sermon, when he did the post game, his eyes looked quite red.
Yeah.
They took that goal so badly, and it could even have been worse. And I think, and it still might happen by the time this podcast comes out, if Caicedo had tucked that away to make it 4-2, I think that's the end of Phil Neville there and then. It still might be.
It was a bit of a poor shot. Because
yeah,
he'd done all the hard work.
I think it was just the excitement.
Yeah, he'd done all the hard work to get by the defender there, and then opened his body to bend it into the far corner, and then his accuracy let him down because it was a good few feet away, feet off. But it was, you're right, I agree with you. Him coming into the game, he was like lights out. He was the way he was cutting by defenders, getting to the byline and cutting it back was really, really, really quality.
They had no answer to him, and part of that, and Jesper did kind of acknowledge this after the game, is they had no real game tape on him.
Yes.
Because they weren't even really sure that he was going to be playing. Now all the other opponents that Whitecaps have are going to have a lot of game tape from this alone, but knowing what he's going to do and knowing what he can do and dealing with it are two different things, because he gave that Portland defence on the right side of their defence a torrid time in his brief cameo. And he is the kind of player that has you on your feet. So exciting. And already I can't wait to see more from him.
Yeah.
Talk about a couple of other players just to wrap up this first part. Again, I know he's still trying to get integrated with the team. Wasn't overly impressed with Sabali. He had a couple of chances in front of goal that I felt he should have done better with. The positives are he's getting into the position, but I've not seen enough for him yet to make me think, yep, definite MLS starting quality. Maybe that's being harsh, but I didn't think he played well in this game.
Is he being used in his best position? Does he not favor being more central?
I mean, he can play central, he can play in the wing.
No, I know he can play on the wing, but
I don't know what he prefers or where he's most effective. All I know is in League 2 in France, lit it up. Ligue 1 struggled.
Yeah. I think there's still time, as we like to say here, and you hope he'll find his finishing boots because he definitely had the opportunities. And I mean, that's one of the good things, Michael, is he's getting into good spaces, and like we said in that first set chance, Thomas Muller's finding him in space to have a good shot, an open shot. I hope you're wrong in the end, or I hope these feelings subside.
I do as well. I only want the best for the lad.
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit too early.
Yeah, fair. I mean, all round, it wasn't. There was still a lot of imperfections there. On the plus side, they're creating the chances. They still have to try and find a way to deal with this low block. Teams that are then just putting players behind the ball. It was all Whitecaps in the second half. Portland were defending so deep, and as I mentioned at the start of this, it was then hard for them to get out of that.
Yeah.
They defended well for a big chunk of the game, and I think that is a positive that they can take. But we'll talk a little bit more about Portland and this game to start the next part, and we'll have a look around MLS West in general, and we'll be back with that after the first of two songs this episode from our Artist of the Month, the Inspiral Carpets.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Berhalter, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's the first of 2 songs this episode from our Artist of the Month for April. From Oldham in England, it's the Inspiral Carpets. And the song you heard there was their 6th single overall and the 3rd one to be released from their debut album Life. Released on June 18th, 1990, the song reached number 27 in the UK charts and is definitely one of my favourites that the band have released throughout their whole career. And we'll be back with our 2nd song from the band to kick off the next part. But we're going to get back to the football chat now, back talking Whitecaps against Timbers, and let's hear some of the post-game thoughts now from Timbers head coach Phil Neville. Not a happy man, and the bear was most definitely poked in his post-game chat.
It's going down.
It's going down.
I'm yelling timber. You better move.
You better move.
You better dance.
Phil, for a neutral viewer, very entertaining game. So many peaks and valleys, peaks and troughs. Between the first 30 minutes, the brief stretch before halftime, going into halftime with the lead, coming out halftime, then defending for your entire life, back in the box. Just how are you pleased with the way that the team was able to cycle through the different phases of the game, even if it ultimately ended in disappointment?
Yeah, I think we were 2-1 up with the 85th minute. And the decision doesn't go our way, and ultimately that's what cost us the game, that decision. And I'm super proud of the players. I think we had to dig in for the first 15 minutes. I didn't think we played the way that I wanted us to play, and then I thought we gained some momentum, some composure, some control. 2 really, really special goals. I knew second half was going to be another difficult game on the road, and we dug in, we defended well, we blocked shots, we countered attack. I think we should have kept the ball better. If you don't keep the ball, then you're gonna be under the cosh the whole second half. But ultimately, the referee's decision cost us the game. And you look last week the last time we played against LA Galaxy, the referee's decision cost us the game. So I feel frustrated. I feel frustrated for my players. I feel frustrated for the organisation. I think there was a lot of outstanding quality shown by my players tonight, and things that we're not in control of, I felt cost us the game. And I think how many bookings was there tonight? 1. Diego Chara, first tackle.
1 for Vancouver, 1 for us.
Yeah. I think Joe Dickinson knows that there should have been at least 1 more player booked on the pitch tonight, but obviously, anyway, we lost the game. We've got to keep going. We've got to keep believing in ourselves. I've got every confidence in everyone that's working towards that goal. The last 2 games have shown a small glimpse of who we are and what we're about. We saw some outstanding debuts tonight, and like I say, 85th minute, a decision cost us the game.
After the game in Portland to start the season, we were very critical of the team and how they kind of performed. The character that they showed after going 1 down early, they could easily have crumpled again with how league games have gone. Finn said that kind of character, the way that they fought back, it does show that there's a good team there.
Well, we went down to 10 men against LA Galaxy, and the players on the pitch were incredible. They were fighting. There's an incredible spirit. I believe in them. They believe in themselves. They believe in everything that we're doing, and we've had to show those qualities tonight. And I felt again the Galaxy game, we had to show those qualities because of a really poor decision, and today we had to show those qualities because of and we didn't get our rewards because of another poor decision. So I think in life the tide turns. You eventually get the rub of the green. At this moment in time, we've had 4 or 5 decisions this season that we think have been really, really poor. But Pro will pat themselves on the back, and they'll go home happy, and they'll get their autographs, and we've just got to keep going. I believe in my players. I believe in we've got some outstanding young players that want to play the right way. In the second half, we needed more courage to play. We can talk about the decisions, but we needed more courage to play in the second half. Keep the ball, and we didn't do that. And that's something that we've got to work on this week.
No, with the decisions that are made, ultimately it comes down to wins and losses and occasional draws. I'm wondering, as a coach, what level of concern do you have about your own job security? Because some fans are calling for a switch at that position.
Who's calling for my head?
Fans.
Are they?
Yes.
Yeah? Which fans?
Timbers fans.
Okay, well, you know, I work for a club that's got the best fans in the business. And they're passionate. And they want success, and I want success as well. And I think what we're building here is something really special with this young team. We've got a vision to build the best young team in the MLS, and I think along that path there's going to be peaks and troughs, and they're going to be with us all the way. I fully support that. The one thing I would say is that as long as they're criticising me, I'm fine. As long as they get behind the players, I'm even better with that, because those players are giving absolutely everything, and they will get their rewards because of their quality, because of their work, because of their endeavour, because of their commitment. And like I said to him in there, is that sometimes you think that the world is against you, and it feels like that with the decisions that we're making, without a shadow of a doubt. Forrest shouldn't have been sent off in Colorado. Kamal shouldn't have been sent off against LA Galaxy, and they shouldn't have been in a handball tonight. So, but that will change. That will change. Once it changes, then we're gonna be a really good team.
Phil, congratulations on the defeat.
Thank you.
When you talk about time and building a squad and growing young players, of course, you've experienced that as a player.
Yeah.
In addition to time, in addition to maybe consistency, which we all desire in football from our players, what other positives will you take from this game moving forward that will help you, press on towards your goals?
Well, Caicedo, João Ortiz, David DaCosta, Velda, Bonateg, Finn Sermon, Juan Mosquera, Anthony, Corey. I think they're all playing to a really good level. I think we've got some of the. Honestly, I think our young players are really good. We all know we need to keep stepping up. We all know we need to keep getting better. We all know that the results have to start coming, But I am incredibly confident in this group of players. I'm incredibly confident in the work that we are doing, we just need to keep neutral in our thoughts. I know that there is obviously a lot of noise, but the noise will help us get better. The noise will help us spur us on. We've got a passionate set of supporters who are the best, and we will deliver for them.
It's going down.
It's going down.
I'm yelling timber. You better move.
You better move.
You better dance.
Giggity.
Let's make a night.
Yeah, bitch,
You won't remember. I'll be the one.
I'll be the one.
You won't forget.
So, some post-game thoughts there from Portland head coach Phil Neville. An interesting post-game to be at. Zach, a little bit of a tense atmosphere in the tiny room.
I've really enjoyed all the doing the away post games at these matches. It's been really, really fun.
I know that's the one thing I miss from having you now doing this stuff is I like to do the away games, but I gave you the choice. I said, "Do you want to?" Because I'd set up a chat with Finn Sermon. We were going to have a 10-minute chat about the World Cup. So because of the result and because as captain he then stood up to do the Zoom, we're chatting with Finn next week, so we'll bring you that on a later show. But I was heading to the Timbers one anyway, and I said, do you want to do the Whitecaps one this week or go to Portland? And the way the game ended, you were like, I think I'd like to come to the Portland one.
Well, I mean,
we caught the end of the Whitecaps one as well.
Yeah, which was great.
We got to do both, yeah.
But no, I mean, I had the privilege of covering Phil Neville in the home playoff game last year down in Portland, which was great. Jill, really, really great, and hospitable and all that kind of stuff. And I got to ask a question down there, and Phil seemed very appreciative of the question down there. This time I had to follow hard. So.
Yeah, this has generated a lot of post-game chatter. Now, One thing I will say is I don't think our question to Phil was out of order, but I don't think you can realistically say to a player, do you think there needs to be a coaching change? Because they're never going to come out and say on a media thing, we need to get rid of the coach. And that was the question that she posed before Phil Neville to Timbers captain Finn Sermon.
And to be fair to him, he gave the right answer.
Yeah.
He said, look, we as players need to be better. That's the bottom line, because that is the bottom line. That is the truth. Even if he hated the coach, that's what he's got to say.
Yeah, you can't come out and say that.
I mean, he showed a lot of composure, and actually, for the most part, I think Phil did as well, to be honest. Like once he got over the initial, is she really asking me this? Wait, who do you think's saying this? And once he got over that, I thought he did really well to say, look, I love our fans. They're the best in the league. Uh, they deserve better. That they can be frustrated with me as long as they're not frustrated with the players. Be frustrated with me. We have a goal. We're working towards it. It's not going as smoothly as we want it to be. We're going to get there, which
Yeah.
I know doesn't ease any of their fears. But
No, but the problem he has, well, he's got a few problems, but he's in year 3 now.
yeah,
And he's previously said, "Oh, this is a 3-year plan that we have to get the team where we want to be." And you look at the team, and if anything, they've actually regressed.
yeah, but
But there is a good team in there, and that's
so
what Finn Sermon said.
are you talking about regressed in terms of like results? Yeah, results. Okay, that's fair. I haven't listened to as much as you have of him because the way he was talking yesterday, it seemed like he said like the focus is on building the best young team in MLS, and so it's
Yes.
going to take time. I don't think he was saying that in year one.
No. And the thing is, they've
It
had a
feels like
lot of good players that's come through from Timbers too.
Yep.
And there's guys that show that they belong, and they've come in and they've performed better than these big name stars.
Yeah, like the guy who scored against the Whitecaps in the first away
Yeah,
game this
he
year,
was tremendous, and like Neville
and
was singing all his praises.
the kid who scored in the playoff game last year. Is it Gabe? No, Gara.
Him, I can't remember.
Anyways, yeah, he come through their second team as well. But yeah, it feels like in the 3 years they've shifted. He shifted to this. Hey, we're going to build. The Portland's the Portland '92 side. Kind of thing.
Well, yeah, because
Class of
that was
'92 Portland.
that was your question. It's like he came through like the class of '92. What I would say about that though is the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and you're not really actually seeing it. There's the odd guys that's coming in and doing well, but he's still relying on his core players. And I look at that roster, and I don't look at that like I look at an RSL or a Red Bulls and think, oh yeah, that's a really good young team. Even the Whitecaps are developing the younger players than he is in year 3. And like when we went to the away locker room, Jill's like, oh, there's a lot of you. And I said, oh yeah, we all want to speak to Phil. It's probably our last chance to speak to him, like jokingly, but also meaning it, because I don't see how he survives this. I didn't see how he survived last season.
At the halftime of the game when it was 2-1 Portland, I was one of my talking points that I was looking to maybe expand on was, is Phil on a less shiggly peg?
I think he's on a more sugary peg now.
Yeah. As the game played out, he's on a much more.
Oh, you should have used that as your question. He would have maybe understood that, having Alex Ferguson as his boss.
Well, you mean you should have fed that language to her?
Sugary peg, her, say sugary peg. Yeah, the time that this comes out, who knows? He might no longer be the manager, and we've just spent 5 minutes talking about something that is moot. But you look at Portland's next games. So, right now in the standings,
this is not a pretty picture.
No, so they're joint bottom on 4 points. They're technically 14th, so that they're second bottom. 1 win, 4 defeats, and 1 draw from their 6 matches so far. They've scored 9, they've conceded 15. They've been giving up a lot of late goals. They've scored some great goals, and as we talked about in the first part, definitely signs there that there is a good team there. But the matches that they've now got coming up, next up for them, they're at home to LAFC on Saturday, and we'll come to the LAFC game in a little bit. But if they play like they played this weekend, Portland's in for a tough one. With the caveat that game comes in between 2 Champions Cup games against Cruz Azul. Then they're away to Minnesota. Then they're away to San Diego and away to RSL. So there's 3 road games coming up in a row, all tough. 2 teams that are really doing well just now. And before that, they've got LAFC. There's little respite there for Neville, and I just can't see him hanging on, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd add from our discussions earlier is that Is it an economic thing where Portland just okay,
Yeah.
they're going to write out his 3-year contract. It ends at the end of this year, and as opposed to sacking him and having to pay him, they say let's let him try and continue to invest in our young players, while at the same time, behind the scenes, we will make sure we have our next person lined up and ready to go.
I just don't think they can wait that long and take that risk. But you're
That's fair.
also for all that he's saying, and I'm talking about regression points wise. I'm not seeing stuff on the pitch either that makes me think that he's turned this team around for a sustainable future.
Yeah. One of the things that was interesting in the Whitecaps pregame was hearing Caitlin Kyle talk about how the thing that was kind of disappointing for her when it came to Phil Neville this season was there's been a couple of times where he has, in her opinion, I guess, thrown some of his players on the bus, I think, including Valdinho there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you saw it after the Whitecaps game down there. He was talking about them playing like little boys.
Yes.
And then he's called out their character and various things in interviews as well. And the last couple of weeks, he's taken the opposite tone. He's been talking about their positives. I do wonder if someone's had a little word in his ear like, yeah, this is not good
Going
PR
down, yeah.
for the club, and it's really not doing you good, which is why the fans are on his back. So we'll see how all of this plays out. It does look a tough time, though, for Portland just now. Let's get into the rest of the MLS West. It was an interesting Saturday because all 30 teams were in action. All 15 games were played in the one day. So a full slate, and you don't get that too often. There's usually some Sunday games. Don't know if Easter Sunday had anything to play into that. But
Probably.
we mentioned Portland finished the weekend second bottom, joint bottom in terms of points with Sporting KC. The Whitecaps finished the weekend in second on 15 points, one behind leaders LAFC. And
How did they do?
well, let's come to LAFC now, and let's do the section of the show that we usually do at the end of our MLS chat,
Sure.
which is the battle for the Canadian number one, Dane St. Clair against Maxime Crepeau. Both players, as we'll touch on a little bit in part 4, started a game in Canada's friendlies. How do you think they did?
I think neither of them did as well as they did wearing the national team jersey, if I'm honest. Yeah,
I mean, for the national team, like Dane started against Iceland.
mhm.
Had to think who we played there. It's been so many games. And then Max got the start against Tunisia. Both of them coming away with a point.
Obviously Max is the clean sheet. Tunisia was the side that I was more worried about of those two teams, honestly.
Yeah.
And the goals against, well, sorry, the opening goal against Iceland was an absolute gift, from Kamal Miller, unfortunately. I don't think Dane was great. I don't think he was like horrible. And I think Max did everything that was asked of him. And, I mean, obviously he was helped by the great tackle from Liam Miller, which is funny because James Hutton and I have a ongoing joke about, not a joke, but like ongoing, like neither of us think Liam Miller's the best player for the national team.
No, but I mean that tackle, when we're talking like tackles of the year,
that was huge.
That's the Canadian winner, surely.
It was massive. But anyways, whenever he comes on for Canada, one of us texts the other person, be like, "Oh, it's Miller time," and like anyways, that's the conversation for another time.
Yeah,
but
like
Max did everything that was asked of him, kept a clean sheet, but then coming into these club matches, it's really interesting. I mean,
my concern for Max is he's going to put his back out the amount of times he has to bend over to pick the ball out the back of the net.
Well,
in the last 3 games where he's actually gone the full 90 minutes, he did keep a clean sheet against NYC. So, I mean, there is that.
That's
but
true.
in the 3 games that he's played, 4 goals given up against Miami, 5 goals given up against Nashville, and it's going up. It's getting worse for him. 6 goals given up this weekend against the LAFC.
My back is a little sore this week from bending over to put down and pick up those cups.
This is Zach's April Fool prank that he played on his boss, where he filled a bunch of red cups, not with piss, sadly, that was my suggestion, just with water.
Yeah, his entire office. It was a lot of fun.
Zach wanted to keep his job, so he just went with the water option.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
As he's getting older, I would have taken a lot. And as I explained, it's hard to source urine these days. But if you are in the market for it, let me know and I'll see what I can do.
Oh my
I
goodness.
know a guy that knows a guy.
Oh my. No, yeah, I mean,
Talking to things that were piss.
yeah, your comment to me was so funny. I think it was you who messaged me this. Or were you the one who said it's hard to believe that Max is the kind of the bit of the dumpster fire that Portland is for an even worse
No,
team?
it wasn't me that said that.
I think it was the Chadsky. It was Chad Rimple, I think, who messaged me that. But it's
Yeah, you think, oh, I've got away from Portland. Things weren't going well for me there. I've
Yeah.
gone to a good team, a good boss with Oscar Pereira. It's a new start, and it's gone terrible
Yeah.
for him, for Pereira, who's now sacked, and
The club.
for Orlando themselves, who are
But
they're in dire straits. And I would say maybe the sixth goal he could have done a little bit better with, but even that's just
yeah, that's the thing is like,
picking it apart. There's nothing he could have done with these 6 goals. The defense that he has got in front of him
yeah,
is absolutely dreadful.
yes, which is the real problem for
They've
him.
given up 23 goals in their 6 matches.
Which,
They've
I mean,
scored 5.
we joked about it an earlier game about how it's like, oh, well, at least he's getting the work in. He's getting the reps. He's got to make
Yeah,
lots of saves.
it was all fun and games.
But wasn't this game where there were 7 shots and 6 of them?
Yeah, but when they got their 6th, they'd had 6 shots on target.
And
Sorry,
then
7 shots on target, 6 in the back of the net, and the other one was a great save by Max.
Yeah, and then I think the 7th was called back for something as well. But yeah,
Luanga, first half hat trick between the 20th and the 28th minute. 4 assists for Son. They just tore that Orlando defense apart. But like, just looking at it from a Max point of view, there's not really anything he could have done on the goals. But you're feeling what it's doing for his confidence. On the positive side, he's getting a lot of practice.
yeah,
But it is going to start to take a mental toll. And you kind of saw it on his face when it went to 3, to 4, to 5.
Yeah.
I was 5-0 by half time. And I'm not saying LAFC eased up. I mean, they could have gone on and set an all-time MLS record, which stands as a 7-goal victory right now. I don't know where Orlando go for here, and it's going to be tough for Max. And
True.
part of that, you feel, plays also into Dane's hands. If we talk a little bit about LAFC,
yeah.
Jacob Schaffelberg made his return,
Yes,
coming on in the 58th minute, had a hand as well in a couple of the goal and a couple of the chances. So he was looking good.
that's encouraging.
But this is a scary as hell team that MDS has down there with LAFC just now. 6 games played, yet to concede a goal, 14 scored, playing some tremendous football as well.
Yeah, it's things are going well, and I'm happy for Mark the way that things have kind of played out.
Don't feel even that they're firing on all cylinders yet, which
No.
is the scary thing.
No, that's very, very true.
Whitecaps don't play them until August.
Which is also
Which-
maybe helpful.
Maybe good, maybe bad. We don't know. They could strengthen more in the summer. But I wouldn't want to be playing them right now, to be honest.
No.
And hope that... Because the Whitecaps also aren't firing on all cylinders. And
No.
that is going to be a good matchup when they do eventually meet. So, tough time for Dane. Sorry, tough time for Max.
Yeah, but shifting the Dane,
Shifting to Dane.
he didn't really cover himself in glory this weekend either.
No. I mean, when you factor in the pair of them and James Pantemis, it hasn't been a tremendous weekend for the 3 top Canadian keepers in the league. But a 2-2 draw for Miami in their new home against Austin, another Western team for us to talk about here as well. And I mean, did you hear, Zach? Lionel Messi scored the first goal in their new stadium.
Yeah, wasn't that a ridiculous headline?
So many folk were talking about it. And it's like, did you miss the one 5 minutes before?
Yeah.
From Byro. Nice header, 5 minutes in, Austin take the lead. And apparently that doesn't count. it's Messi that gets the first goal. There was so much to like in this game. The fact that Miami didn't get the first goal in the new stadium, and they haven't got their first win in the new stadium, because the man that earned the point for Austin,
Jaden
Nelson,
nice
getting his
finish.
first goal for the club. They left him wide open.
Yeah.
I saw he had scored, and I hadn't seen it at that point. I was like, oh, I wonder if he went on a quick run, caught that defence cold. It was a quick counter, and he was left way open in the middle of the park. Ball comes to him, tucks it away nicely. Great to see him get his first goal.
Yeah, and yeah, I think the encouraging thing is a combination of his pace and a good finish. I think that's what he needs. He needs more of that.
But it was the old men's club for Miami, and it was Luis Suarez that grabbed the point for them in the end. Again, it's a team that doesn't feel like they are firing on all cylinders yet. If we talk about the new Miami Stadium just quickly, from above, it looks spectacular. I think it looks tremendous. But we were both just saying before we recorded, we kind of feel that pitch leaves a lot to be desired. It's one of those pitches that has the sprinklers all over it. So when it goes off, it just leaves all these marks on the pitch.
From a visual standpoint, it looked kind of weird to me.
The stadium itself, though, it does look stunning. I hate the name of it, New Stadium, just because it is a new stadium, but it's new NU. I don't like it. I'll just call it Miami Stadium. 27 shots to 9. Miami peppered Austin with. But for Austin to come away from that with a point is huge.
It's huge. Yeah, massive.
And standings-wise, doesn't get them back in the playoff spots. They're still below the playoff line. So right now, Houston are sitting 10th, Austin 11th, LA Galaxy 12th, St. Louis 13th, Portland 14th, and Kansas 15th. They're the teams below the playoff line. If we look, we won't delve into all the games. It's been such a busy weekend. I've not had a chance anyway to watch all the highlights.
Have you seen the San Jose-San Diego game?
I did see the goals in that one, yeah. So that is one that we'll talk about.
Did you see Judd's celebration? He did the dog on the hydrant.
Oh, yes, he pissed on the corner flag.
Yeah.
You said it much more eloquently than my potty-mouthed Scottish tongue. But I loved it because it was a tribute to his dog that had just undergone surgery, and he's like using it as well to raise awareness and raise money for a dog charity. So I loved that all round. Let's rattle through the teams in the West. So Colorado, I did see this game's highlights.
Oh, yeah.
Colorado, Toronto. Wow, this was a wild one. 3 players sent off. Travis sent off for Colorado in the first half in the 34th minute. But then Raheem Edwards sent off for Toronto in the 49th minute. Colorado go 2 up. Aronson and Rosenberry score 2 goals in a 3-minute spell. And you think, wow, Toronto's screwed now. Richie Larea pulls one back for TFC.
It was did you see a nice shot from the kind of the
tight angle,
kind of wide,
decent finish. Shouldn't have gone in. I mean, that's the kind of goal. It's like, how do you let that in? Exactly.
But I was disappointed that for him it was. You could tell he just wanted to get back in the game. I want to see Lucia score a goal and celebrate.
The 2 Colorado goals I thought were nice finishes. But then Navarro gets sent off in the 74th, and they're down to 9 men. And then goal of the weekend in terms of laughs, a Zach Steffen own goal it is down to. The ball's played back to him.
The former Man City player.
Yes. Ball's played back to him from his defender. From distance, at a bit of pace. He tries to chest it down, gets it all wrong, runs by him, and into the back of the net.
Yeah, absolutely horrendous.
I'm glad it's not the defender that got credited with the own goal.
Well, he touched it, so.
Yeah, it was terrific to watch from a humour point of view. Terrible goalkeeping.
Yep. And it set the stage.
It did.
For what MLSE, Toronto FC, MLS would have wanted.
Norwich City reject. Josh Sargent gets his first goal. He came close to getting his first in the first half, to be fair. And he should have had it in the first half. He missed a really good chance. But yeah, tucks it away. I think 5 minutes to go it was in the end. Yeah, 85th minute. and he gives Toronto all 3 points. And Colorado are going to look at this as a game they threw away and 3 big road points that they dropped.
Yeah. We've talked about how important home matches are for Colorado. Yeah, this was a bit of a gimme on the road, and they couldn't hang on. And yeah, obviously the cards play a massive role in that. But yeah, very, very, very disappointing. And no one wants to concede from a set piece like that to see it go. And then obviously the own goal is just catastrophic.
What I will say for TFC, great character to fight back as well
Yep.
for this.
Totally.
And it still doesn't feel like things are clicking, but there's not a big a tire fire as Montreal are right now. And Sargent getting that goal, it's going to be a little bit of a weight off him, but with the money that they spent to bring him in, they're needing to get him up and running on a roll. And I think it will come.
Yeah.
I think he will get goals in MLS. It'll be funny for us if he doesn't. Obviously, as a non-TFC fan, you're kind of like, oh, this will be good if they've spent more money on a player that flops. But yeah, I was disappointed when I saw that he had got the match winner. The RSL train is rolling along. I haven't had a chance to watch the highlights for this yet, but I will. 3-1 win over last place Kansas City. Luna gets them off and running in the 4th minute. Solange makes it 2-0 in the 55th. Joveljic pulls one back for KC. I can't help, every time I see Joveljic score, I can't help but think, does he regret moving to a team as bad as KC? It seemed an odd move at the time. He should be at a way better team. He's too good a player to be on that KC side.
Yeah, but he's like, so many players in general and in this league who it's the consistency factor, right? I mean, for all the issues that, the Galaxy have or have had or whatever, what's his name? Is it Klaus? Klaus?
Yes. We'll come at him in a sec. He's having a great move to the Galaxy.
He's a far more consistent striker who offers, I think, the Galaxy far more than Jovic. But yeah, does he regret going to Kansas City? Or maybe his family just will love the barbecue while they're there.
Yeah, I mean, there's other reasons folk make moves as well, and obviously money plays into it. But from a success point of view, this is going to be a long, tough season again for KC. RSL, though, flying. Their first 2 goals, both assisted by the young 19-year-old homegrown Xavier Gozo. And then Gozo gets his own goal to just cap things off. A nice goal. 1 goal, 2 assists on the day. Seals the deal in the 82nd minute. And yeah, RSL, very entertaining to watch this year, and they're ticking along quite nicely.
Yeah, Gozo is quite the player.
Yeah.
We got an early look at him here. But yeah, he's just been flying. I mean, he was good last year, but he just continues to progress, which is wonderful for them. And he's a shining light in what they're doing with young players down there.
Yeah, I mean, Phil Neville talks about wanting to be the best young team in MLS. He's got a long way to go when you look at what's happening down in RSL right now.
Yeah.
Whitecaps opponents next weekend, New York City. Looked like they had won against St. Louis. 51st minute goal from Wolf. Thought that would be all 3 points, but McSorley had different ideas for St. Louis and gets a 96th minute equaliser.
Yeah.
And they're going to rue that in NYC. I fancy the Whitecaps to do the business against NYC next weekend. They don't look a great team right now. They've obviously a team that's got like Maxi Morales on. It's always going to be a threat, but I don't think there's too much in that team that really scares me.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, too, even though it's early in the season, the travel. When we talk about how poor Orlando was in California against LAFC, I mean, yeah, I wonder if some of the travel was an issue for them. Obviously, maybe it shouldn't be. They're professionals. This is what they do. They should be used to it. Blah blah blah. But yeah, we do know it can take a toll.
Well, yeah, and like NYC have 2 Australian national team players with them. They both started this game, and they've just flown back from their international duty as well.
Yeah.
So I mentioned, like, we're going to be speaking to Finn Sermon about the World Cup. I'm hoping to grab Aidan O'Neill this week as well, NYC, either during the week or after the match on Saturday, just to chat about Australia's World Cup chances. It's great that all these players are coming here now as well before the World Cup. It's a good selection of matches from a Whitecaps point of view for us doing our World Cup build-up. Back to the MLS chat though. Dallas, big 4-0 win over DC United. Still not really sure what to make of this Dallas team though, I've got to say. I saw a little bit of the Seattle-Houston game, and they were hanging on a bit in the end. Houston were like trying to get a late equaliser, but Paul Rothrock, it was a late winner for him in the 83rd minute.
Yeah, I watched the highlights of that one, and it was not the most exciting or thrilling match.
Seattle's best games this year have been against the Whitecaps.
Yeah.
Minnesota came away with a 2-1 win at LA Galaxy. Markinich in the 51st minute opened the scoring. Marco Royce tied it up for the Galaxy 6 minutes later before Yeboah gets the match winner in the 67th minute. Again, I saw the tail end of this when I was kind of watching some MLS 360 stuff when I got back home. And Galaxy were throwing everything at Minnesota, but Minnesota saw this game out quite comfortably in the end, and a big point on the road for this Loon side.
Yeah,
it's
3
another
points.
team that's still trying to find their rhythm and their groove this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy for Royce, but yeah, disappointing for Galaxy.
And the last game to talk about, I saw the goals in this, I saw the setting off, you've seen it as well. San Jose still flying, a big 3-0 win over 10-man San Diego. But San Diego were already 1 down when Dua got sent off in the 32nd minute. Sakiris putting San Jose ahead in the 13th minute and then putting them 2 up from the spot in the 34th. And it was from the tackle in the box to give away the penalty that saw Dua get sent off. I felt it was a bit harsh sending off. I think a yellow would have been enough in this.
Yeah, I think you're not totally off base on that.
But then San Diego is backs to the wall. They gave a third up 3 minutes into first half stoppage time. Judd with that third goal and then doing his corner flag celebration. San Diego kind of just shut up shop a little bit in the second half, damaged limitations, but
I wonder what music was blaring in the locker room in San Jose after this one.
But San Jose, 5 wins out of 6, beat the Whitecaps as well, but behind the Whitecaps in terms of goals for and goal difference as well. So they're sitting third in the standings just now behind Vancouver and LAFC, Salt Lake in 4th and 13, Seattle in 5th and 13, then it's Dallas, San Diego on 11, and Colorado on 9, and Minnesota currently in that 9th and final playoff spot on 8. So an interesting weekend in MLS West, and yeah, it's very tight in the Western Conference, as I mentioned. Whitecaps at one point were down to 5th, but finished the weekend on 2nd. NYC come to town next weekend. You have to miss that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have a commitment that weekend.
But I will be there for the full post-game. Probably head to the NYC locker room just to chat to a couple of their Aussies. But we'll be back with more MLS Roundup in the next show. That is it for the MLS chat. That is it for the Whitecaps chat for this episode. But please, don't turn off. We've got a lot more football chat to come. The CPL season kicked off this weekend. We'll chat a little bit about that and some of the big talking points from the new football video support system that we saw in action for the first time. And we'll be back doing all of that after the second song of this episode from our Artist of the Month.
Hi, I'm Tate Johnson, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Lift the scab off the saw, rub another lump of salt in the wound. Word is out that you're gonna get reasonable soon. Yes, a man is no man if he doesn't have the beast inside. Yes, a man is no man if he doesn't have the beast inside. Take the head off my neck, drop the splinters a glass down the hole. 'Cause you're doing your best to destroy every inch of my soul. Yes, a man is no man if he doesn't have the beast inside. Yes, a man is no man if he doesn't have the beast inside. Take the gun off the wall with the lead in my soul. With the bones from my skin, lay them out on the floor. The gun off the wall with the lead in my soul. With the bones from my skin, lay them out on the floor.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's the second song this episode from our Artists of the Month here at AFTN for April. From Oldham in England, the band is the Inspiral Carpets. The song you heard there was Beast Inside, the title track from the band's second album that was released on April 22nd, 1991. Only 2 singles released from that album. For me, not one of their best albums. If you were looking as a kind of starting point to get into the band, I wouldn't kind of pick this. I'd either go for their debut Life, or their third album, Revenge of the Goldfish, or their fourth one, Devil Hopping, where we'll have some songs in the coming weeks from those two. But the title track on this one, The Beast Inside, I think should have been released as a single. It wasn't. The album itself peaked at number 5 in the UK charts, number 1 in the UK indie charts, and really started to get the band a lot more commercial attention. And their next 2 albums proved very popular, with the singles on it particularly. And we'll be back with some songs from their third album, Revenge of the Goldfish, in the next episode of the show. So we'll get back to the football chat, and in this part, we're turning our attention to the Canadian Premier League. It kicked off opening weekend, well, for 6 of the 8 teams, Axe. Not quite sure why York and Supra didn't play. Yeah, we were having a little chat. It's quite annoying. It's your opening weekend, but not every team is in action. And Vanni Sartini noted after the game this weekend, he's not had a chance to scout next week's opponents of Inter Toronto, but they've got a full chance to see how Vanni's team line up. So, an odd decision, not one I'm a big fan of, have to say.
Yeah, it's weird.
But the action kicked off 9 a.m. Pacific time. It felt that this game wasn't going to end, thankfully. And this is my tip for everyone this year. If you're PVRing the CPL games, definitely allow a bit extra at the end of your PVR recording, because judging by some of the FVS reviews that we saw this weekend, I think we're going to be adding quite a little bit of time onto some of these matches, because a few things starting in the league. We've got the countdown for the goalkeepers, which is also in BCPL play as well. So I got to see that today in action for the first time. And we've got the new Arsene Wenger offside rule. From the 3 games, I didn't really see that had any impact at all.
Yeah, I thought that was going to have a much bigger impact so far, but
yeah,
maybe in due time.
I did show you a still, though, from the Forge Ottawa game, where I don't know about a daylight rule. This was a guy that was in a different postal code from that wasn't given as offside, bizarrely, and the linesman's right in line with the defender. And somehow, weird. I mean, you're talking 6 yards that he was off.
Yeah.
Crazy. But the other big thing was the football video support system. So for anyone that doesn't know, you might have seen it in the under-17 and the under-20 World Cups. It was getting used. Coaches have 2 challenges during the game. Not sure I quite like the twirling the finger in the air to make the challenge.
Why not?
I don't mind them having to do that. It's just when the commentators are going on constantly about twirling the finger, it's just sounds ridiculous. But coaches have 2 challenges. If they win a challenge, they get their challenge back. If they lose the challenge, then they're just down to 1. And if they lose both, then they don't have any. So they need to be used wisely. It can also be used for sending offs, mistaken identity, offsides, and all the goals are going to get reviewed as well. And we saw it in action in 2 of the 3 matches. Obviously, they reviewed the goal in the Halifax Vancouver game, but a 30-yard free kick that ends up in the postage stamp corner, very quick review in that case. But the other 2 games, we saw goal reviews and we saw coaches' reviews as well.
Yep.
And I think what we can say from this first weekend, and it's something that we're going to expect, it needs a little bit of work to get the timeliness worked on a bit. They were taking a little bit too long.
Yeah, but the one thing I did like was how you could hear what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure you're meant to, but we could hear everything that was going on.
Well,
I don't know if you noticed in the Pacific game, all the
Pacific one
players were
especially.
crowding around watching the screen.
Oh, and you could hear their commentary.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
What are you looking at? We'll get into the things as we talk about the games, but just an overall thought, it is slowing the game down, and that is one of the big complaints about VAR in general, and whether it's VAR Lite or FES or full VAR, it does slow the game down. And one of the things I've liked about CPL, I like it in the English Championship, I like it at East Fife's level, I like it in the BCPL, is mistakes happen, but they move on, there's no review, and you just get on with the game, and the game flows. The thing I hate about VAR, and we touched on this earlier, is goal celebrations. It just kills it. And sometimes you get to celebrate twice, or sometimes you celebrate a goal, and then you're like, oh, it's been chalked off. And then the opposition are celebrating a VAR decision as if they've scored a goal.
Yeah.
So there were some teething problems in this, and it will take a little bit of time. But I think on the whole, good decisions. Some we can maybe talk a little bit about, but it's there to do a job. And I think on the whole, it did do its job.
So the first one there with the penalty for Ottawa, Mejia challenged it, thinking it wasn't a penalty.
Yes.
You agree with the call?
Yeah, this was an interesting one because there was a couple of things to look at. There was a high foot, and I'm not sure if that was what Mejia was doing the appeal for. But White, I mean, he is clattered from behind. It's a soft penalty, but I mean, to me, I think it was a penalty.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think you were going to overturn that from the video evidence.
No, and I don't know if Mejia if it was necessarily that, or if it was the high foot as the ball then gets played in to right. But they spent ages on this, and it was the first one in the history of the league. Not our favourite referee, Rudolph, that got this game, which I thought was a little bit odd because I don't think he's the best ref in the league, and this was always going to be a fiery encounter.
Yeah.
So I wrote this down. The penalty was awarded at the 14:29 mark.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it wasn't scored until the 20.03 mark, 5 minutes and 34 seconds after the initial decision, which to me is way too much.
Okay. I totally do not disagree with you one bit on that. However, as someone who's been to and watched a lot of CPL, I'd much rather lose that 5 minutes of your life and make sure the call is right than not, because some of the horrendous calls over the 7, 8 years or whatever have been like shocking, right? Like, so as they go through some teething with this, yeah, it'll be painful to start. Hopefully it'll become a lot more smooth, streamlined. But if it's going to enable them to get calls right, I'm very happy for it.
Part of the reason it took so long, and I wrote all this down as well, so it took Mejia 44 seconds to play his card to issue the review.
Well, because that's because they have people saying, hey, yeah, challenge it.
And then old muffin top Rudolph, it took him 32 seconds to waddle over to the screen The ref in the Pacific game did it in under 15. These are the things I'm timing now. I know I need to get on with the life. But it was 4 minutes and 40 seconds after the initial decision that the indication was then given that everything was fine.
You're right. It's not ideal.
It's not ideal. Now, that was the longest of all the reviews this weekend.
And the first.
And
right?
the first. But the first one in the Pacific game that we'll come to in a sec also took round about 5 minutes. So that wasn't ideal either. But yeah, it was a penalty to Forge. Right, picked himself up, finished it with aplomb, and it's 1-0 to Forge in the 21st minute. Made it 2-0 in the 68th minute. Ben Payton getting on the score sheet for Forge.
Popular score this weekend.
Yes. Both Payton brothers getting on the score sheet in a weekend. That would have been an interesting double to have tried to get a bet on. But this was a goal then the fourth official called the referee over for a review. So this one took just under 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So the goal itself, the corner comes in. It takes a touch. It looks like it comes off the arm of a Forge player. It falls to Payton and he finishes from close range. So I think it was the calling over was to review it for the handball. Now, there's so many changes to handball in the box and what is a penalty, what's not, what's the foul, what's not, that there is a lot of confusion for this. So, if the goal scorer, accidentally or not, if it touches any part of his hand or arm in the build-up to the goal, then the goal is chalked off. But if it's an accidental handball off a teammate that leads to a goal, that is not called off. It would only be if it was a deliberate handball. So I think they were reviewing it to try and see if it was a deliberate hand or accidental. And there's no clear footage, but it looks like there's just two players go for it and it hits the hand and comes off. He wasn't moving it. It wasn't in an unnatural position. So that is why the goal stood. And it was 2-0 at that point then to Forge. And we got a third video review for a challenge in the 88th minute that was played by Mejia. And this was a quick review and the game restarted. So a big 2-0 win for Forge to start the season over the defending champs. And, I mean, to take from this game, Forge looked good. They were missing some players in this as well. Ottawa, as we talked about in our CPL preview in the last episode, which if you haven't listened to, recommend everyone goes to listen to that.
Yeah.
It's not right now, and I don't know if it is going to be the same looking Ottawa side, attacking wise, offensive wise, that we saw last year. They do play a lot of keep ball, and it is like this tiki taka stuff. I can't watch Spain games. I just find it boring as hell. And in the opening 10 minutes of this, and we were talking to someone at the VFC game about this as well.
Yeah,
it just felt like Ottawa were just playing the ball, knocking it back and forward, trying to find space in any of the channels. It's a hard watch.
Yeah, but it's how Mejia wants them to play, right? He wants them to play like a significant amount of possession football, right? Control the game, starve the other team of possession, but be more, penetrate more and be more clinical. And yeah, it didn't pay off for them today. But I think if you asked Mejia, he would say, no, our football was much better than theirs. That like he did all season last year. And yeah, I think Bobby, we had a really great conversation, like you said, and I think Bobby will be really happy. Job done. Not the perfect game by any means, but a good step in a tricky first match of the year for them.
Yeah.
Do you want to cover Pacific and Cavs next, and we'll come to the big one at last?
Yeah. Okay. Because we've got more video support stuff to talk about in this.
Yeah.
So the third game and final game of the weekend was on Sunday over in Langford. Pacific hosting Cavalry in a precursor to the Canadian Championship first round match, the winner of who will go on and play the Whitecaps in the quarterfinals.
Which also Tommy said, I think in the pre-match press conference, I think he says is it the third year in a row they've started their season?
Yeah.
Is it either against Pacific or maybe he was just talking about the CONCACAF games on the island? But he's like, yeah, we're getting used to going to the island to start our seasons.
I mean, on the basis of this, And things can change, and cup ties are different things. I think it's going to be Whitecaps Cavalry in the quarterfinals.
How dare you say that about your beloved Tridents?
Having watched the full game, I fast forwarded through the full game and I watched the full highlights. Cavalry dominated this, and most of the highlights are Cavalry action. But towards the end, Pacific started to come into it, and it might just take a few games for them to kind of find their groove.
Kirk and I had the game on, but we were multitasking, so I didn't. In the end, I didn't go on the post game because I hadn't watched kind of every second of it. But it was, yeah, Cavalry were dominant, and Pacific were essentially playing to create a chance or two on the counter or set plays. Like that's basically the game in a nutshell. Like the game was, just dominated by Tommy's Cavalry.
It was a 2-1 win in the end for the Cavs. The opening goal, interesting one. 31st minute penalty from Toby Warszewski. But the build up to it, there's a challenge in the box, 25-48 minute mark. And it's Jay Herdman, who's back with Cavalry. And just as a quick aside, I thought I had an excellent game. Hit the post.
Yes, he did play really well.
Like the Jay Herdman that I saw with Whitecaps too. And it makes you wonder what has happened last year with him. Didn't work out at Cavalry. He was loaned to VFC, wasn't getting on the pitch with VFC.
Well, sorry. I don't know if we talked about this before, but to bring clarity to that, he was carrying an injury at the end of the season. That's why he didn't play.
I'm hoping this is Jay Herdman back to his best, because he was lighting it up for Whitecaps too, and then had a season-ending injury that kept him out for the start of the next year as well. And it feels like that's derailed him considerably. But on the showing, just from this first game, he's looking back good, gets the start today, hits the post, brought it down in the box. Now, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a penalty. And the referee gives a foul the other way. Herdman's standing in the box, the defender comes right over him. And I'm like, how is that a foul on Jay Herdman for standing still?
Michael, do you know who the defender was?
I can't remember.
The defender was a gentleman you and I were talking about earlier in the week named Tristan Marshall.
Oh, yes.
He's a Toronto-born...
and Grenadines.
Yeah, he's a Toronto-born St. Vincent and the Grenadines international who one of our friends from the island got in touch about his signing for Pacific, which I think was announced the day of or the day before the game.
I mean, he must be good. He plays for two countries.
Yeah, touche. But
Never a podcast without getting that joke in.
It's an awkward one because honestly, Michael, I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I didn't think it was a foul. I think he's going up for the ball and Herdman unintentionally kind of undercuts him.
I think was it John Conway in color commentary? I think he is in your camp. He didn't think it was either. So if you're agreeing with John Conway, a man who says offsides, which should ban him immediately from any broadcast, then I think you know you're wrong. And I always back the referee's decision. The referee is always correct. So there was a challenge. Tommy got to twirl his finger.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny. It was like when Tommy did the twirl, you're like, he knows this is going to be called. He was like confident, like, oh, guys, you're looking at this again.
Yeah. Video reviews made for a guy like Tommy.
Yeah.
Oh, and another aside, the new Cavalry hats, the tan and white hat that Tommy was wearing.
That goes with the kit.
Love it.
Yeah.
If anyone from Cavalry is listening and would like to send one along to us, please get in touch. We'll give you our mailing address.
Are you talking about Hannah or like the supporters?
Oh, Hannah mainly, but I don't want the supporters putting their hands in their pocket. But you can if you want. But I love that. That pops for me.
It looked good on Tommy.
Yeah.
He always wears he wears a hat well.
Yeah.
I like.
Are you saying I don't?
Well, I mean, no. I thought it's nice how it's made to match the kit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the challenge on Herdman came in 25.48, and then a review was signalled almost a full minute. So again, it took time. They had time here because both players were down in the box. So it gave them a chance to really look at it, make sure they were going to be confident and not waste it. And then the review itself took 3 minutes and 1 second before it was announced as a penalty.
And this is where you could really hear the people in the background being like, Oh, clearly, and you could hear the referees talking to each other. The one thing I like about the system, which I don't know if we talked about too much, I like how it's not one person making a decision. It's the referee and the fourth official together. That there's something about the sort of communal aspect of that I think will also make decisions more tolerable or palatable to
Yeah,
to,
because it's
to
it's
fans.
two heads,
Yeah.
but like other VAR, it's also folk making decisions more than one because the referee's talking to the VAR booth.
Yeah, but this is, I think, when it's two humans in the stadium on the side of the pitch, there's more of this like
Zach, can we call referees humans?
I don't know, you said you respect all their decisions, so
Apologies to all the referees listening. I'll expect the letters of complaint. But yeah, so I think it was a penalty you don't, which shows how difficult it is these days to.
like again, I understand why it's given. It just when watching it back, I'm just like, no, they're not going to give that. And I hear the referees talking. I was like, oh, they're clearly giving it. They're just figuring out how they're going to communicate and like
Yeah.
blah blah. I was like, oh man.
So it's 1-0 to Cavalry at the break. They go 2 up 3 minutes into the second half. Harry Payton, the other Payton brother to get on the score sheet this weekend, his first goal for his new club. This then triggered the automatic fourth official review. And I'm not 100% sure if it was one or two things that they were looking at, but it did take nearly 4 minutes to review this. First of all, because Mejia wanted to appeal it. Not Mejia, I'm obsessed with Mejia. Merriman
James,
wanted to appeal it, but you don't have to because it's automatically reviewed.
yeah.
So that's not one of their challenges. So I think he was thinking it was offside, but the player wasn't interfering in any way with the goal. But then they seemed to be looking that there was a double touch at the corner
Right.
where the corner was taken, and it wasn't. It was just positioning of the ball, and
Yeah.
the referee waved it away. So again, I think right decision in the end.
It was, if you're Pacific, this is a horrible goal to give up
Yeah,
because it's a short corner where there's so much space for Peyton to attack. I think Sean Melvin, who again we really appreciate, will feel bad about kind of that going in. I think yeah, it's near post, right?
yeah.
Like it's not ideal.
Pacific pull one back in the 73rd minute from Koninks, and then try to get something going, try to push a little bit to get the equaliser. They can't find it. And a 2-1 loss to start what we both felt in the preview is going to be a very tough campaign for the Islanders.
Yeah. Can we talk about one other thing from this game?
I was wanting to as well, and if it's the same thing. What are you wanting to talk about? Is it the banner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting banner that I thought was interesting for a couple of reasons. One, that it was allowed in, and two, who was behind it? So, folk may not have seen this and might not know the background of it. So, very quick summary. We've talked about it on the show. The city of Langford say that Pacific owe them money, which the last public communication for them said 750,000. Now, you've spoken to people at 6-5 that say they've checked this and they do not feel that that is the case. But there was
and they have receipts. That's what I've been told.
But yeah, but Langford also feel that they have receipts, so that's where it gets into a little bit of muddy waters here. So a banner was held up in the bottom corner of the stand saying 6-5, pay up.
Yeah, but it looks like it's well, one. I don't know if was there traveling fans. I haven't.
It looked like it was a Pacific jersey that was holding it.
Exactly.
The
It looks
away
like
ones.
Pacific people, but it's over kind of in the away supporter.
Yeah, that's
union
why
corner.
at first I thought, oh, that'll be the Cavs fans just trolling a little bit.
No, but I think it was locals.
Mm.
You talk about getting it in, Michael. I mean, there's lots of ways to get things in stadiums. That's a longer conversation we
Well,
could have.
yeah, not so much getting it in, but the fact that they were allowed to hold it up and it wasn't like.
Well, I heard
taken out.
I heard it wasn't held up very long. So I don't know
okay.
I don't know if it was seen and then told to be taken down or whatever.
Right.
I haven't talked to too many people with this. I've seen a little bit of the rumblings online.
Well, I know we've got Pacific fans that listen to this, like Jeff and Mike. So maybe you can give us a little bit of background to this. We'd love to know.
But it to me, yeah, it just feels. I'm all for protesting things that you're not happy with about your club. It just feels like this is not helpful for your club at this moment. So
Well,
you're only making
considering the
things worse.
financial perilous state of some other clubs in the league, and the fact that there's a dispute going on with Langford, and we know Pacific would like to play more games Royal Athletic Park and maybe make the permanent move to downtown Victoria, it made me think who was behind this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
it's
I
a
took my little tinfoil hat on, but
it's
it
a
just seemed odd for the
it's
season
a
opener in
you're
particular.
you're right. It is a very and I didn't see. Did they do a display at the beginning of the game? Any of the supporters?
Oh, that I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
didn't see one.
one of the reasons I found it odd, and like you mentioned there about what you protest about your club. I don't know how many fans of clubs would be that up in arms to make a banner for their club not paying the city some money.
Exactly.
That's why I found it odd.
Exactly. But I will say, Michael, there are people within the Pacific supporter community that I feel would stand up for whatever they feel is right, no matter who it impacts. So I
Yeah,
could see.
and I would say in that respect, the message of the sign is right. If this money is owed, 6-5 do need to pay it. If they can prove it's not owed because they've got everything in writing with the former mayor, then both parties need to come out and say, look, it was a bit of a misunderstanding with the previous mayor, but everything is in order. But something needs to be said about it.
I think that's a fair perspective.
Yeah. So let's move on to the final game, and we'll bring some post-game audio from this game. Vanni Sartini's winning return to Vancouver. He said he found the game more emotional than he thought, and the whole experience more emotional than he thought he was going to. Because I was going to talk to him about being out of the game for 16 months, but he brought that up himself before I could even do that. It's a long time for a coach that's that passionate about football to be out of the game. And I don't know if I mentioned this on the show at the time, but I went for coffee with Vanni a few months after he was fired, and chat to him a little bit, but by message now and again. And back in March, he was already pulling his hair out and just wanting to get involved in football again. And he applied for a number of jobs. Some didn't go anywhere. Some he got interviews for and didn't get. And he was just wanting to get back involved, hands-on. He would go to a park, he said, and coach the team if they wanted to coach. And I think his wife Barb just wanted him out of the house as well. And it's like, yeah, you're talking to the cats too much now. You've got the cats playing a back three, and there's only two of them. Which is sometimes how it felt with the Whitecaps when they were trying to play their back three, to be fair. But he's back in the game. He's loving it, and you see how happy he is to be back involved. And he was the showman. He came over to the bench at the start, which you didn't see because you were there doing the tifo, which we can talk a little bit about as well. But fans were shouting things at him. A few gave him a standing ovation. He was waving to them. Had a little bit of banter with the fans during the game as well. And there's a few folk out, I think, just to see Vanni and his return.
Absolutely.
The announced attendance was just over 3,500, which was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I think in attendance was maybe 2.5 to 2.8. This is the problem with so many of the CPL stadiums. The cameras are on the side where most of the fans aren't.
Yeah.
So all you're seeing is the Canada Club seats, the expensive seats, facing the camera, and the supporter section where there's not many folk in. And the stadium looks empty. But the stand that you're not seeing was pretty full for this one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And it was interesting because the stand that was full, I think they even made it look fuller because of how they have done tarps this year.
Yeah.
But
it'll be interesting how many folk come back now next weekend, where you haven't got the lure of Vanni.
And no clash.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing as well. I thought this was a pretty decent crowd for the fact that the Canucks had a 4:00 game.
Yeah.
And the Whitecaps were at 7:30. And it was doable, as I proved, to get.
Yeah, there was a bunch of bunch of people did it.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed for post-game stuff for an extra half hour and still made kickoff, so it is doable if there's no traffic, which thankfully I had very little traffic on my way down.
Same,
On the
yeah.
way up, the traffic going the other way was horrendous, and I didn't realize that the Canucks had been playing, so that was obviously part of it as well. But yeah, will they come out for game 2 and future games? If they're basing it on the excitement and the action on the pitch, it wasn't a great game.
It wasn't as entertaining as you would want, but it also wasn't it wasn't totally devoid of entertainment. We'll get to the goal in a minute. The goal is, I don't know, the goal of the week and maybe even on the continent. Like, it's an incredible goal. Kirk even said to me after the game, as we were driving down to BC Place, he was like, that it felt like kind of an extension of the preseason, which often happens with early season matches. They're doing I will say this, and I said this to Bill Cooper after the game. They're doing a lot to do everything they can to make the match day experience as meaningful for as many people as possible, trying to make things as more engaging and meaningful and enjoyable for people as possible. And I think they're succeeding in that. Again, I think
it's a good game day experience. I will say that.
Yeah,
and the next game's against Ford, so it's top opposition that's coming.
Totally. Yeah.
I was toying with going, but I'll probably go to Whitecaps too. They're playing Tacoma Defiance, and since it's like less than 10 minutes up the road compared to a drive out to Langley and back, I'll let you do the VFC game and I'll head off to the twos. In the game itself, Vancouver were the better team.
Oh, by far.
Vanni himself, post-game, said he didn't feel that it deserved victory, a draw. He felt it would have been a fair result. Even that, I think VFC would have felt a little bit hard done by. The winning goal, the only goal in the 1-0 victory, a stunning 30-yard free kick from Lorenzo Caligari. Unstoppable past Mateus de Souza, making his professional debut. He was the Langley United goalkeeper last year, BCPL champs. Saw him come through the Whitecaps system as well, and played in college last year also. He's a really good backup keeper. Callum Irvin had been injured in the build-up to this. And although back at training and should be good to go for the next game, they didn't want to risk him. So De Souza got his first start and did well. Nothing they could do to keep this one out. But what a free kick. And as Zach said, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out.
Yeah, I tweeted a shot from from behind it. That's the best view, I think. The VAR light or whatever the system's called with VFS.
FVS.
FVS, sorry, FVS. One of the things, the shortcomings of it is that, you can't look at everything and not that, I guess VAR wouldn't look at this anyways, but I thought the foul given for the free kick actually is really weak in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's something they can't look at in any way, shape, or form.
That's something where the level of CPL officiating can still get you. Because Telford goes down evening. Now, Telford coming on to substitute Vanni Talks post game was kind of influential in that he felt his side in the first half definitely were not kind of getting in behind enough, and therefore opening up the game more and creating more space for his team to operate in. And when Telford came on, Telford, and I can't remember who the other substitute was, but when they came on, they kind of did that. They kind of brought more bite to the team, and winning that free kick and the shot, it's unbelievable. Like
it was one of only 2 on target that they had in the whole game. VFC 17 shots, 5 on target. Marco Carducci came up with 3-4 huge saves. For me, he was the man of the match.
Yeah, and Terran Campbell hit the crossbar. And that's the other thing, the refereeing thing.
Yeah, there was chances for VFC, for sure.
That chance at the end where he hits the crossbar, and it's called offside.
Yeah.
The offside must have been in the build-up play because it was not at the end.
Oh, no, yeah.
Okay, because I've watched it back a few times. I'm like, where's this offside? And even before, you can't get a great angle stuff, but...
There was a couple of times that you thought, oh, they're going to get the goal here, and the finishing wasn't clinical enough. Carducci, this is why Vanni's brought him in.
Yeah, he was man of the match.
Yeah,
I saw lots of people online saying, "Oh, yeah, we felt like Marco was maybe not at his peak anymore, and so it's not so bad maybe if you're a Caps fan if he moves on. I spoke to him briefly, the day before the match, and he talked about how, yeah, he needed a new challenge, and he was excited to work with Vanni, and just kind of this kind of stage, this moment in his career kind of called for something like this. But he showed in this game that at his best, yeah, he will still win you matches in this league. And without him, yeah, it's not even close, I don't think. I think it's like a 3-1 or game.
So, opening day defeat for VFC, but a lot to take from it. Let's hear from the victorious Vanni Sartini on his return to Vancouver. Vanni, an emotional day for you back in Vancouver after being away for a while, starting off your time in the CPL with a win. Just tell us what today's been like for you.
Yeah, no, really, I was really excited, really happy, So last year I didn't coach, so I was thinking yesterday that it was like, 16 months from my last official game to try to win a game for points. So I was already excited. And then the fact that we were playing here in Vancouver, so I had the chance to see a lot of friends. I was really happy that almost emotional, I gotta be honest, when I arrived and the crowd gave me an applause when I arrived, and so remembering the good time that I spent here in this city. So really happy, and going away with 3 points is the cherry on top, to be honest.
It was a tough game for you.
Yeah.
The defence has been very solid.
Yeah.
Marco Carducci showed when quiet you weren't going to win from the top keepers in the league. What did you make of your team's overall play, especially on?
Yeah, I think we did a good job, off the ball. We were very compact, very hard to break. The first half, we just conceded a big chance on one of our mistakes, and Marco made a good chance. They were a little bit more intense than us, we have to be honest. We weren't able to move the ball fast enough, and I think the two guys that came on, Miguel Arilla and Ryan Telfer, they gave us a little bit more bite, and that in those 10 minutes of the spell, we started pushing, and we got the free kick. Then Lorenzo scored, and then how happened sometimes after the goal, we started to deserve the goal and not before, because we were playing better. And then at the end anyway, Marco did a good save, couple good saves to keep us in up. I gotta be completely honest. I don't think we deserve to win. I think the tie was the most fair result. But I played so many games that it will happen during the season that sometimes we deserve to win and we don't win, and to VFC that will happen that they don't deserve to win and they will win. So for the moment we get these 3 points, and I'm really, really happy. I think we had the answer that I had in preseason. That we are a solid team. We're very well organized. It's very hard to break us down. We are good in bringing the ball forward till, I would say, the last 30, 35 meters. We need to get better in the final third, to be honest.
Other than not having as much bite as you would want, or a little bit going forward, were you happy with it? Looked like, I know you've talked about being more flexible.
Yeah.
It looked like you were kind of free at the back in attack and 4-4-2 in possession with Gavino kind of drop back. In general, are you happy?
Yeah, that was the plan for today. So our idea is to have like a clear identity, especially with the ball, and maybe to be, I would say, flexible outside the ball. For today, we chose to play the 4-4-2 defensively, because we thought that we know that Vancouver is very dangerous, especially on the wing with Elage and going 1v1. So having a back four instead of a back three was having a player already there, and that's the reason why we decided to go there. And we alternate in preseason defending with a 4-4-2, with a 4-3-3, keeping the 3-5-2 even defensively. And I want this kind of flexibility, because I think that the league has a lot of variety, and every team has a different style. And so I think it will be my task to identify the best tactical structure defensively for every game. I think we did okay today defensively. I think we were very solid. Again, we need to improve when we have the ball, especially in the final third.
Football's often turned on special moments, and the game was decided on a special moment.
Yeah.
I wonder if you maybe talk about Caligari and his strike and his, but more so the overall competition of the games. He's been a big part for HFX for a long time.
Yeah.
He played a matching role today.
So the challenge that I have with Lorenzo this season is that he needs to be more disciplined tactically. And I think that is the only, if he adds this, and everybody knows, I don't know, if you follow me, that I'm really keen on everybody needs to move from the position for the team and everything. And I think that Lorenzo has a natural, I would say, almost anarchic way to play. And so if he does like he did today, that he stays in position and is able to give us his quality, the balance there, he's one of the best players of the league, to be honest, and he's able to make this special thing. So yesterday he tried, actually, 2 or 3 of these kind of, I don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo, Juninho Pernambucano free kicks that he did today. And they all went up over the bar. So hopefully he doesn't score this week too in training, and he saved for the real moment.
Thank you so much, and congrats on your first CPL victory.
Thank you so much.
Halifax Wanderers head coach Vanni Sartini there, very cock-a-hoop in the post-game. It was great to see him again, great to catch up with him again. Got a brief chance to chat with him before heading down to BC Place. Still, his charismatic and enigmatic self. VFC back in action next Sunday out at Willoughby, 4 o'clock kickoff. If you're in the area, get out for that. It's a good game day experience. And we're going to get some VFC interviews done over the next couple of weeks with some of the guys on the team. Some really good stories to tell that we want to tell from players that's either come in or players that have come back to BC, players we know that's come through the Whitecaps system. And there's a few interesting players around the league as well that we want to have some chats with. We want to do a little bit more CPL coverage this year. That is it for the CPL chat for now. We're going to turn our attention in the final part of the show to the international stage. What a week of international football it's been. What a week of football just in general. And we'll be back with that after track 16 from the iconic C86 cassette.
Hi, I'm Ralph Briso, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Squid in a stomach exploding, fat was lying on my belly pretending that I was a whale. Washed up on the shore in a sea blue cove in a silken streamline pink and mauve. I drank from the grail. Don't turn your eyes away from the window, it's a see-through disguise. On the pillow, the eider down is a hulking mass, born with a nebula floating gas that clings to I've seen. Cream in the ashtray, I take back pictures to my dark hideaway.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, we're continuing to pay tribute to the 40th anniversary of the groundbreaking and influential cassette C86, a mail order cassette that you could get from the New Musical Express, the NME, the UK's top music magazine. And from the minute I got that cassette, I fell in love with it. Spoken before this year, that's a bit of a polarising cassette. A lot of the music papers that weren't NME kind of dissed a lot of the bands on it, a lot of the tracks on it. Even some of the bands that were on it weren't overly enamoured by having the C86 tag or the jangly tag that went with it, the shambling sound. And the band you heard there, The Servants, a four-piece band from Hayes in Middlesex, they were one of the bands that weren't really overly enamoured to be on it, and actually kind of felt that being on it hindered their career more than aided it. They were around from 1985 to 1991, reforming in 2014 for an anniversary gig. But the song you heard there to kick this part off was track 16 on the C86 cassette, Transparent. It was the B-side from The Servants' debut single, She's Always Hiding. They released 4 singles overall in their career, one album as well, that was called Disinterest in 1990. And I know from all the tracks on the cassette, this was one that did get a lot of good critical attention. Folk thought it was a very well put together song. I certainly like it. Hope you did too. And we'll be back next week with track 17 from the C86 cassette. So back to the football chat now, and we turn our attention to the international stage. Canada were involved in a couple of friendlies, 2 draws for them in this international window. Scotland lost both their games, 1-0 to Japan and the Ivory Coast. Not filmy, with a lot of confidence ahead of June, I've got to say, some of those performances from Scotland. Canada, we will talk about to kick off this part. 2-2 draw, coming from behind against Iceland, went 2-0 down. And we mentioned it a little bit earlier, horrendous first goal given up. Kamal Miller, a back pass that's going to haunt his dreams, especially if he doesn't make the World Cup roster. But they fought back, they come away with a 2-2 draw. But then a goalless draw against Tunisia in what you felt was the harder of the 2 fixtures as well on Tuesday. Game that was delayed because of lightning strikes and horrendous weather out in Toronto. We won't break down the matches, but let's talk about some of the things that we learned from it. Just before that, overall thoughts on Canada's performance in those 2 games. Did it raise some concerns and worries for you heading into June?
Yeah, obviously, lots of people have talked about the defensive concerns. The goals conceded against Iceland. We know we're currently not playing with our best option center back because they're not fit, and everyone's just hoping that they will be fit. Obviously, like we mentioned earlier, one of those potential replacement options in Ralph Priso now, has spent some time on the sidelines, which is really saddening, especially for people on the West Coast. But maybe the biggest headline coming out of this is it's like we've, the Reds have hit a drought scoring up top, especially from open play.
Yeah, because the 2 goals against Iceland, both by Jonathan David, but both from the penalty spot, which they all count. Like, who cares how they go in? But yeah, you've got to talk about the drought in open play.
And as much as it's nice to see Kyle Larin at a club where he's scoring and assisting and playing a lot more at Southampton in the championship, there was at least still one opportunity, maybe 2 opportunities that he had where you're just like, man, you have to finish that. Like, if you I've heard stuff. I mean, I assume you have as well, Michael, in terms of like there may be like Jesse's holding a 27 spot for Promise David just in case he can get back, which I would love. But yeah, it's just kind of disappointing that that I think that Larin has kind of found his way back into the team, and also that Tenny, in his game against Tunisia, really didn't put himself forward better, and that he hasn't done more to break through.
Yeah.
Villarreal, but Villarreal is no easy place to break through.
No.
I mean, Buchanan has done more so, but at the beginning it looked like maybe Tanny was going to get more time there. He had some contributions and stuff, but it's a little bit concerning. I know lots of people don't rate Jebison, and as much as I was impressed with him in training last June when I got to see him up close, he wouldn't be my first choice for a striker. But it's going to be interesting. The other thing I will say about the attack for Canada, and also it was kind of weird because he went to more of a 4-4-2, although David continues to drop deeper and play more like a 10. And that is where one of my concerns is that they're trying to fit all these people on the pitch, and they're making Jonathan David play more of a creative role than a finishing role. But Jonathan David at his best is a finisher, in my opinion. And so it feels like to try and get the best out of everyone possible, they're taking away a part of his game, Jonathan David's game, that is the best part of his game. And so yeah. And then it's like, obviously this is a very incomplete jigsaw puzzle because you don't have Alphonso Davies, and Alphonso Davies made a return to the pitch for Bayern Munich at the weekend where he was playing left back and set up a match-winning goal, and it was nice because for the first time in a while, I feel like Bayern wasn't tucking in their fullbacks, and Davies was able to get into a space that I like him in. But again, for Canada, is that where he's going to be playing, or should he usurp the left wing from players like Ahmed? Ahmed and a Schaffelberg if he's fit, or the new flavor of the month. Sorry, I shouldn't say it that way, but new up and coming Canadian international Marcelo Flores, who actually was one of the most impressive players in this window, showing he's not slow, but he's not Tejan Buchanan fast, but he is dynamic on the ball and he can create on the ball. You almost want to say, like, can you push him into more of a 10 role in the middle? Or will that take away from his usual, playing wide, what he does wide? But yeah, it's a weird jigsaw puzzle that everyone is just hoping that that Jesse Marsh will be able to get right, and that all the pieces will be healthy and all that kind of stuff. One other thing I want to say, Michael, before I forget, is I know lots of people, and we'll come to this, the way Canada's group has now played out, there's now more and more people who are thinking, oh yeah, Canada's got it made. They're going to get out of the group. They're going to top the group or whatever. I was talking to our friend, I forget his name. I forget his name online. High on Caps, I think is his name online. I think.
Oh.
But because he has a Swiss background. I don't know how much I've said it in this way before, but people cannot sleep on Switzerland. Like, I'm excited to see them because they got a bunch of current and former.
They do so good at the big tournaments.
Exactly. I like them because
Scotland, from the last Euros.
Exactly. I like them because they have so many current and former Bundesliga players, and for me, I'm excited to see a bunch of those guys play at BC Place in the World Cup. But you cannot sleep in them. You saw in their match against Germany, and I know this Germany is not like the Germany from 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. Nagelsmann is not I don't think the right coach for them long term. But you saw how they can score, they can punish you. I mean, people would say maybe their defense, the defense in that game was, gives Canada hope or whatever. But people cannot sleep on Switzerland, or cannot just, have Canada go into that last game, say they draw against Bosnia, win against Qatar, and just be like, oh yeah, Canada's obviously going to beat Switzerland. I genuinely
don't understand anyone thinking that. For me, Switzerland's the favourites to win the group.
I agree. I think I very easily see them topping the group, and Canada fighting with Bosnia for second.
Yeah.
No.
But the way that Bosnia has played in these two games as well, I would not be writing them off.
But anyways, I'm sorry, that's a tangent from the whole Canada conversation.
Well, no, but it's still about Canada because it's about the group.
Yeah.
I mean, I think these two games, when we did our show chatting about it on one of the extra podcasts, we talked about, is there going to be a lot that you can take from them because there's so many players missing? And I think no one's necessarily going to have definitely won their spot from these two games, but I think there are some players that may have lost it or be like, yeah, they're not ready for this World Cup, maybe a future, or maybe their time's over. Like Joe Waterman and Kamal Miller did themselves no favour over these two games. Derek Cornelius, it was great him coming in, getting some minutes. I wondered if with him getting that, maybe he would feature on the bench for Rangers this weekend. But no, wasn't in their game day squad. And it doesn't look like he's probably going to be in their game day squad again. So that doesn't help that he's not getting those minutes. I've got a question to pose to you, though, around these guys that are out just now and may be back way before the World Cup or might not be. So I Promise David style guy. So if you've got a player, and let's just use Promise David as an example, and he says to Jesse Marsh, look, I'm a little bit ahead of where I thought I might be. I wouldn't be ready for the group games, but I think I'd be ready for the knockout rounds. Would you risk giving him a roster spot?
Yeah, depending on who it is, depending on I guess it's hard to take just one piece of the puzzle and just say, oh, whatever, yeah, we'll have some standard for it, or we'll have some expectations or
Well, let's look at Promise then. As like,
Yeah.
if he said, look, I think I'll be good for the knockout games, but I won't have played, obviously.
I think I would, just because I mean, before his injury, for me, he was going to be the difference maker for Canada this World Cup. Whether he started or came off the bench or did both, I think he really just has that potential. He has that skill. He has that understanding of the game. Obviously, form at that time would be, important, but so I personally would. I literally think he's the kind of guy you can bring on into a game and he could change it for you. He's a 6'5" center forward, Michael, who for set plays alone, even though I wouldn't for a dude that big, I wouldn't say his aerial abilities are even his best abilities. I think he's actually maybe even better with the ball at his feet or shooting, just in general. The way he smashes the ball but also the way he has technique on the ball, and technique in terms of the choice of how to finish. So
I think I would as well, just for the record.
And again, we don't know what do we know? Is it minimum 26? Is it
26 is what I've been hearing.
Right. So I think once that gets confirmed, that'll then shape that, right? Because remember, they're also going to have, in previous tournaments, they've also had sort of like a supplemental roster, right? Where if like someone gets hurt, like up until a certain time, you can replace them, or whatever, right? Like, yeah.
I mean, it would be a risk as well, because players are always like, oh, I can do this, but then the medical team's like, no, you can't. So, I mean, he might feel he could be back and then it doesn't work out. And then you've basically lost a spot that already isn't going to have a lot of players there. It's not like defenders and midfielders where there's tons of them on the squad.
Yeah.
So
when you talk about players who maybe didn't boost their stock or whatever too, I didn't really love how, like, I get that there's some load management and some scheduling stuff and whatever. I felt like it almost was a little bit unfair to have Choinière play with Saliba. I feel like that combination wasn't really great. I feel like both those players are better when they're next to, obviously, Eustáquio or Kone, and I know Saliba got to play with Kone, in the next game, and I think was better. But I felt bad for Choinière. Like I feel like you didn't, even though I he's playing great for LAFC. I think in general right now, I felt like in the start against Iceland, I felt like he wasn't able to maybe show his best, because he's a guy where I think you want him on the squad as an option, and I think he's also a really good deliverer of a set play ball, which is maybe not enough to get you on the team, but I think with some of these midfielders, if he's your fourth or fifth midfielder, I think maybe that's okay. But yeah,
I don't think Nico Segur had a good couple of games.
That's fair. Yeah, he's definitely played better for Canada.
Yeah.
And the fullback thing is still so weird with what's going on with Johnston. And then you have the whole quagmire of the Davies thing because that influences because I can't see Jesse not using Richie Laret as a starter. So whether it's left back or right back, or potentially a weird scenario pushed up in the midfield, like you think he's going to start. Yeah, when I spoke with Jesse, whatever in the fall, it's too bad. I mean, for multiple reasons that Italy's out because I think Jesse really he wanted Italy, he wanted the big team, he wanted the team. I mean, you heard his comments, which a lot of Italians got mad about burn your Italian jerseys.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah, I was
support
on the
Canada.
call when
And
he said that.
The CSA did that whole little jersey swap stunt thing to, promo things and get some jerseys out there, which was, good for them.
I'd like them to do it here at Commercial Drive. Although I was told Italians here at Commercial Drive would never swap their Italian jerseys.
Oh, yeah, no.
The ticket sales, free for all, not a great experience for people trying to get through. We both got up early on Wednesday. I was just curious to see what the ticket prices were going to be because I thought, maybe I'll pick up a round of 16 or around a 32 game for here, just in case I don't get media for one of those two games. But they'd gone up in price.
Yeah.
And they only had category 2 left for the round of 16, and it was $985. And yeah, it could be Portugal or Colombia that's in it, but you're taking a gamble, and then it could be a game that you don't really have a lot of interest in. It would be a high stakes game. It's around the 16.
Yeah.
But we've also seen some of those games be dreadful because there's too much on the line. The teams just play defensive football. So I couldn't justify paying nearly $1,000 for a game of teams I have no interest in. But the whole experience for folk was just terrible.
Yeah, I know lots of unhappy people. Yeah, I got up.
You got up before me. You logged in before me, and you got into the system 5 hours after me.
Well, I foolishly clicked on that hospitality link because I was so tired because I had been done all this April Fool stuff and I was exhausted. I didn't have my glasses on. I was like, oh, there's the click on that or whatever. And then I was in the thing. I was like, oh, okay, this is
because yours looked different from mine. You were moving faster than mine.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Flo said the same thing. He's like, dude, it's too late. He's like, dude, you're in the wrong thing. And I was like, yeah, I realized that. But yeah, people who basically, you and Flo both went in kind of like 30 minutes before and got in good time.
An hour. I don't know that that's good time, but yeah, compared to other folk, yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up buying one ticket for you, and that was it.
Wonderful, yeah. So hopefully I can get 2 games in on that little jaunt south.
Yeah, that'll be nice. But I think there's still more tickets that's going to get released. FIFA keeps saying, keep checking back, and especially in the build-up to the game and game day. And
I've heard people who went in and got, even Chatsky got round of 32 and round of 16 in Vancouver. I think he got a category 3 for one of them. I don't know what the price was. I didn't ask the price, but yeah.
They've definitely gone up from when I first got in the Visa lottery back in October, I think it was. The prices have, like the dynamic pricing is in full flow.
Yeah.
And I really felt for the Bosnian fans that were trying to get a ticket for that home opener against Canada.
Yeah.
Sky-high prices.
Yeah, outside their PMA tickets. Yeah, it'll be crazy. I did hear from someone, I didn't confirm it, but I heard from someone saying that the Canadian supporters will be in the north end of BMO Field, so not in the usual south end. So not that, even though it doesn't actually block your view, we won't be by that, that bar thing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
if anyone has tickets and hasn't checked their ticket account, sign in because you now actually have your seat allocations as well. Because some people I know that's checked their tickets and they've looked, the category 2, some of those tickets I feel are in a worse position in the stadium than the category 3 ones. In terms of category 3, you're down in the front, category 2, you're back in the third back row.
Yeah.
But you're paying more money for it. So it's all a absolute con nightmare.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a few unhappy folk, I think, when they do get round to checking.
But people are also really, I know we talked about this too already. I think people have got their tickets or not for the Fan Fest.
Yes,
we talked about that.
$135 a day. Because we talked about Our Lady Peace, and that might be the only band I would want to see there. So I went in just to see what the tickets were. You've got upper and lower seating. 135 for the whole day for lower seating, 115 in the upper seating.
Is that what
I wouldn't pay that. I think it was all in. I wouldn't pay that to go and see Our Lady Peace at a concert.
No. But are there also free tickets for those or no?
Well, you can stand on the outskirts and hear them. You'll be able to do that. There's 2,600 free floor tickets on a first come, first served.
By floor, you mean is it standing?
Yeah.
Oh. So no seat.
No seats.
So if you want to watch the games in there and sit down, you have to pay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But there'll be screens you can watch and sit all around the P&E.
Yeah, and that's free to get into?
Yeah.
But you're going to have to line up to get in because it's going to be limited capacity, right? Is it 10 grand or 25 grand or what is it?
It's 10,000 for the amphitheatre. It's 20 or 25 for the whole site.
Right.
But you've also now got Canada House has been announced in North Vancouver. I'd like to get over to that for one of the games.
I had a meeting. I had a good meeting once at that facility.
I think that'd be a lot of fun to get out to that.
Yeah.
The World Cup Trophy Tour is also here this coming weekend. I think tickets are still available. I have one available for Friday that I can't use now because I have to get out to Langley for the BCPL game I'm commentating on. So if anyone wants that ticket, let me know and I'll forward it to you.
I just hope the Canada House in North Van doesn't cost what the Canada House in Doha did.
It's free.
Because the Canada House in Doha is a place I did not visit because I would rather have spent money on matches than...
Yeah, no, this is free.
It's free, okay, sweet, yeah.
But again, it'll be a big demand, limited thing. But there'll be lots of screenings all over the place as well. Last little bit to talk about international-wise. What a day Tuesday was.
Oh, my.
I had multi-screens going. I had football on non-stop up until, I think, about 10 o'clock at night with the Inter-Confederation games, which were both excellent affairs as well. The 4 UEFA qualifiers. We've touched on Italy. Italy crashing out after taking the lead and then a deserved red card.
Yeah.
And they were hanging on, and you thought, they're going to do the Italian way and get through this. Bosnia got the equaliser, and after that, I fancied Bosnia to push on. Italy get it to penalties, and then just blow it.
Michael, who got the equaliser?
You were driving, and he said, keep me updated. And I'm they've missed another.
Who got the goal for Bosnia? Edin Dzeko, the man who left the 40-year-old who left Fiorentina to go play for Schalke in the second Bundesliga, so he could stay sharp, and it worked. It paid off for him.
40-year-old Dzeko, but he did pick an injury up at the end of the game. He wasn't going to be able to take a penalty, so hopefully it's not too bad. It's not going to keep him out. He
wasn't in the lineup for Schalke this weekend, but that might also be due to, I think he got a red card recently for them.
But, 1-1 after the 120 minutes, 4-1 to Bosnia on penalties. If you lose a penalty shootout 4-1, you don't deserve to be going anywhere.
It was a bloody nightmare.
Oh.
Like, it would.
I was wanting Bosnia to go through. You were wanting Italy. You've got some close Italian friends.
Yeah.
3 World Cups in a row Italy haven't made. Scotland missed 6 in a row, so to me that's nothing. But do you know Italy's the only World Cup winner that didn't get a chance to defend their title because they refused to go to the next World Cup?
Was it 1950?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the a couple things I want to read here for you, but one of the crazy things I saw was and I'm sure you saw this, but Italy has not won a World Cup knockout game since the invention of the iPhone.
iPhone, yeah.
So they haven't won a knockout game since they won the World Cup in 2006. So here's something that's really interesting. So I reached out to some Italian friends and said, hey, what's the deal? What are the shortcomings? So there's some concern from Gattuso's management in terms of players continually being called up with zero merit. So it's kind of like he had his players and they were going to get called up kind of no matter what. So that was a bit frustrating. Same sad team from the Euros and qualifiers earlier. But then someone sent me this. Oh, my buddy also said Zanilo should have been starting and Ricci should have been off the bench for the starters. So again, just some team management stuff. But this is one thing that we sent to me that was really disturbing, Michael. And I think, yeah, I'd love to hear what you think. This is from I believe Italian legend Claudio Gentile, or Gentile, however you pronounce it. And this is taken from social media. So I can't vouch for this or whatever, but take this for what it's worth. He says, and let me just put on my glasses so I can actually read it. Okay. Teams are put together by agents, even the national team. When I was coaching the under-21, I don't know how long ago that was, but when I was coaching the under-21, they came to me with a bag full of money. It's yours, they told me, if you call up who we say. I told them to get lost. Otherwise, I'd call the Carabinieri. In the end, they got rid of me. If you're not a puppet, you don't belong to the system.
Wow.
That's pretty, again, maybe I'll look more into that. We can have a deeper discussion on that some other time, but that is...
I mean, a guy like Gattuso, I would never see as being a puppet. His
No.
job's safe.
No, I can't see him being a puppet, but I can see him being someone who's like...
swayed
safe.
by
Yeah.
certain things.
Yeah, or like you said, safe. Like they know he's going to choose who he's going to choose, and that's it.
Yeah. It's kind of ironic. Italy's starting to, like the baseball, they won that. They've got really good at rugby union. The current Italian team is like excellent. So maybe there's a bit of a sport and shift there. But Italy's now going through what Scotland went through for 2 generations. They've now got it for 1, really, which is a whole generation growing up that don't know what it's like to watch Italy at a World Cup final.
Yes.
Scotland's not been at one since 98. We've had 2 generations that's gone through that. And it's then hard to get the excitement going. But you're top 10 in the world, you're ranked 9th. You've won the Euros, which I think helps take some of the pressure off. Like, we've still got the talent. And like Gattuso's like, oh, in my day, the top 2 teams would qualify. That wasn't the case.
Yeah.
The top 2 teams did not automatically qualify, and it was a smaller World Cup as well. Scotland's been second in the group tons of times, and they didn't get to qualify because of that. You've had a whole campaign to qualify. You've then had playoffs to qualify. And if you can't get through that, you're just simply not good enough. The amount of teams that are at this World Cup and the amount from Europe.
Yeah.
And I hate so much, and with a passion, and from some respected people as well, like Arlo White, that are saying, is it really a World Cup if Italy's not there and the likes of Curacao are there? Yes, because they qualified, they deservedly earned the right to be there. Every World Cup has had minnows at it, and they've earned the right to be there.
Yeah, just like we were talking to Bobby last week. We were talking about the playoff format. He's like, as long as we all know what the rules are ahead of time before the season starts, I'm good with whatever it is. And so going into the World Cup qualifying, everyone knew what it would take.
Yep.
Everyone knew the format. You can only blame yourself. One other interesting thing I needed to tell you, actually, that I was told from Italian friends, and I think you'll find this interesting, and I think there's a comparable to some of the stuff we've experienced locally. I asked about, hey, has Italy not won a number of youth titles at different, whatever, Euros or whatever, or like haven't they performed well? And the response was yes, but the problem is it's kind of like what we've experienced, I think, in the past, anyways, Michael, with the Whitecaps, where they had these youth teams that were amazing at age level, but couldn't make the breakthrough into the first team. And I was told it's a similar kind of thing, except for the pathway is more or less being blocked, because what happens is these good young players have been bought up by the big clubs in Italy, but then sent out on loan to like Serie B or Serie C or whatever, and they never mature enough or develop enough to be worthy of the first team of the big clubs. So then they kind of just fade away, sort of, so to speak. And so I found that really, really interesting, that you can do well at younger ages, and but you're not able to transition that into like, first team national team football?
It's brought up the subject again of talking about should there be less foreign players in Serie A.
Oh, and that was not the exact example, but yes, it was very much lies at the feet of the professional clubs and Serie A, and whether or not the FIGC can get together with Serie A to remedy some of that or to bring in things to help with that is, I don't know, but Germany's not a perfect example, and right now Germany's not in the greatest place in terms of development and where they're at and all that kind of stuff, but getting ready for the 2006 World Cup, which was too late and didn't pay full dividends until 2014. The DFL and the DFB worked together on some of this youth development stuff to create better players, to develop better players, and it for that generation it paid off. Now, some would argue that they're failing, or Philip Blom has come out and said, "Hey, we're failing because of this, that, and the other. We need to go back or change this, that, the other, because all of our players." All we have is players who can actually play the kind of football you were talking about before in terms of tiki-taka, but they can't, we don't have a right back, we don't have a center forward.
Because I know there's like 7, maybe even 8 now, Scottish players that's in Serie A. But we're a World Cup country, so, you want the players from the top countries there.
McTominay.
But I wanted to have a look at what the Italy-Norway scores were in the qualifying, just to see if, they were unlucky. Norway beat them 3-0 and 4-1.
Yeah.
So they weren't even close to deserving to get through that group.
No.
So well done to Bosnia. I was absolutely delighted for them. It's going to be their second appearance at the finals.
Would you would have preferred Wales and Northern Ireland though, right? Or Wales at least?
No.
Oh, okay.
To be honest, I mentioned before it would be great for having more 2026 wavelength songs ahead of the World Cup, but genuinely delighted for Bosnia. You saw the scenes, you saw what it meant to their fans, to the country, and second time ever at a World Cup, and that's the kind of stories that I love at World Cup time. Going back though to like Wales and Northern Ireland, this was what I thought, and I know why. It was to give them another fixture. But the two losers from the semi-finals had to play each other on Tuesday.
Really?
Yeah, so Wales played Northern Ireland.
I didn't even see that anywhere.
But it was a very feisty game, and the Welsh fans booed the Irish anthem because they played God Save the Queen, and the Welsh fans, like the Scotland fans, don't recognise that as the national anthem.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a very interesting atmosphere there.
What was the score? What was the result?
I think it was 1-1.
Okay.
Off the top of my head. But Bosnia through. Czech Republic also through in a penalty shootout. And Denmark were as bad as Italy in that penalty shootout. Felt for Jesper watching that. Yeah. Denmark had it in their hands to qualify. And then they let 2 goals in whilst 2-0 up against Belarus.
Yeah.
On a night that Scotland were getting thrashed by Greece, and they would have had automatic qualification. And then Scotland beats them, and now they're not even at the finals.
It's crazy.
Crazy. Sweden got through over Poland as well, and
Sweden is a. I don't know if you have it there in front of you, but my understanding is Sweden a team that did not win a game in the qualifiers.
Yes, they got in from their Nations League record.
Yeah. So they didn't win a game in qualification and then made it to the playoffs and go through in the playoffs.
Yeah, because a lot of folks say, they're not deserving. And I get that. They've had 2 draws from their 6 matches.
Yeah.
They were in the group with Switzerland and Kosovo.
Yeah.
I was wanting Kosovo to get through to the first ever final. I thought that would have been a nice story. I'm sure there's some Serbian people that might be listening to this that would have a very different opinion on that. But Turkey, 2 1-0 wins in these qualifying games to get through, and we're going to see them here against Australia now. So that should be an interesting atmosphere.
Yeah.
But that is it all decided. Everyone knows what is happening now, and we can start the countdown. Just over 2 months to go. That is it for the football chat. We'll finish with this episode's wavelength. We're back playing songs in the build-up to the World Cup songs. And we've got another Scotland one for you from this year. from a duo called Shindig. They're actually a cabaret band that go around doing shows in Scotland, but they produced this song after the win over Denmark. They've reworked it and you can find it on YouTube. It's called Come On Scotland. Come on indeed.
McTominay. Steve Clark leads us, Canada needs us, Mexico and USA. Overhead smackers, halfway whackers, VAR checks, ref needs new specs. Robertson, Shanklin, McLean with Tierney too, and John McGinn. The Clydebank boy! A Rocky Mountain, Gordon shouting, he's looking for his Zimmer frame. Sells a tackle, Suter tackles, Big John's in the book again. Whiskey flowing, Times Square's glowing, Tartan Army, going Barbie. Soul tires waving, victory craving, we're coming up trumps. Bagpipe solo! Whiskey flowing, Times Square's glowing, Tartan Army, going Barbie. Soul tires waving, victory craving, we're coming up trumps. We'll go all the way. Come on, Scotland!
Shindig there. Come on, Scotland. And Scott McTominay has just got a great name to put in World Cup songs. Scott McTominay. You can just extend it, syllablize it. Fantastic. So we'll be back with more World Cup songs next week. If you see any, let me know. A few folk tagged me in the Bosnia song that they played after Bosnia qualified. It's a 2011 song called USA, and it's not about football. It's not about the World Cup. It is a great song, but we can't play it in wavelength. But that is it for the show. It's been a long one. Some of it might get cut out. Some of it might get kept back for an extra podcast. We'll see how we go. Before we wrap this one up, though, Zach, any final thoughts from you?
You referenced it earlier, the pre-match display at the Vancouver FC game. Yeah, it was kind of like a, I don't know. It was it was good. It was bittersweet. It was weird. It was I know you and I have talked about this a bunch, but off the record. But it was my kind of like my farewell to the Fanatics. It was the last thing I kind of did. It was something that I kind of hoped to do last year. Kind of be like the project leader for it last year when I was kind of in charge of those kinds of things. And for multiple reasons, it didn't happen last year. So it was hopefully going to happen for the Cruz Azul game, and then there was issues with that around timing and CONCACAF stuff and whatever. And so, yeah, it got done for this. And then we had the unfortunate situation of, finding out that Callum wasn't going to be playing, which was like then a bit of like, okay, does it still go up or whatever? But yeah, it was just a really fun kind of last display to kind of do in club football. And yeah, like I said, it was a weird one because it was a different one, because in previous ones, usually I partner with different people in different ways. This one was more kind of just my family. So it was, I actually got Callum to pose for a photo like last season with a scarf kind of thing. I forget what I told him at the time. And so I took that and did some canvas stuff with it, and I had to swap out scarves and all this kind of stuff, and came up with a design that we thought could work and made it look good enough and whatever. And then Kirk and I Kirk spent half a night and I spent a whole night doing the tracing. And we started painting, and a couple of people helped. Stefan did a shift, Scott did a shift, Brendan did multiple shifts. But the most of it was painted just like my wife and my daughter and my son. warehouse space from one of our good Italian friends. And then our good friend Adrienne came and saved the day because she helped do the face, because the face is really hard to make look proper and good and all that kind of stuff. But it was, and then they did great work in getting it on the rigging and displaying it and hoisting it up and all that kind of stuff. And I know the result didn't go the way things, the way the Fanatics would have wanted to, but hopefully a good way to kind of start the season when it comes to that. They had their new flags going, which was great too. And hopefully just a small token of appreciation to Callum Irving for who he is and what he's done for football in Vancouver, and specifically obviously with Vancouver FC. And as I've made this shift and this shift in focus from supporter culture to doing more media stuff, this was kind of like the closing, the finale of one of those chapters.
The goodbye.
Yeah, and so it was bittersweet, but yeah, really, really thankful and glad it came off. And I think the quality of artwork and stuff and the deployment and stuff was what I would have wanted. And really thankful. I love the Fanatics and I'm thankful for all the time I spent with them. And my son will still watch games and be a part of things there and do stuff with them and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool, and he enjoys it, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, it was just, it was really, really enjoyable, but it was also, bittersweet.
It's a lovely way to end, I think. It's 2:15 on Easter Monday morning. The shops will be open soon for the cheap chocolate, so I should wrap this up. We'll be back with another episode soon. This might be a 2-podcast week if a couple of things come off, so just watch your podcast feeds for that. If not, just enjoy this one till we're back next weekend. But until we are back, as always, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Caps.
When you're listening in some far-flung corner of the globe to the World Service of a Saturday afternoon, crackly reception, interference, cosy, marvellous. Somehow comforting, isn't it? Legendary names, fathers and sons on the terraces, cheesy peas at half-time, pint for dad, mum's at home making the tea. Everything's all right with the world, isn't it? Saturday afternoon is football.